we need some outside universal threat to make us recognize this common bound. I occasionally think how quickly our differences worldwide would vanish if we were facing an alien threat from outside this world.
Good evening and welcome to Spaced Out Radio tonight. My name is Dave Scott, and we are going deep into the woods, talking Dogman, bipedal canines. Joedy Cook from the North American Dogman Project is here tonight to get her all looked after, and man, is it going to be a great show. And we got all of you as well, including Kathy Evans in the gold medal position, Race Fan taking home the silver, Awesome Ann B with the bronze medal tonight. Let's see who else we got in our chat room, shall we? Penny Van, how are you? Roy Boy, good to see you. Hey, Brown Dwarf and Eric Markham. Verpine, how you been doing? Simon, the dog face. Guy Calgary. Yeah, Guy Calgary. We'll be signing autographs after the show. Line up to the left of the studio if you don't mind for old Guy, to the left of the studio. Dutch Hank, Sandy B, how are you? Thanks for coming on in. Hi, Ozzy Sue. Nice to see you again. Brad Ford, sweet Donna Spencer. How are you? Wearing number 17 in your program, starting on defense tonight from Stockholm, Sweden, Lars Jansson. Yeah, he's a key to the power play success, by the way. Jessica McCreary, how are you? Thank you for coming on in. Ed Clater, Thurston Howell III. Good to see you guys. Kim Stanley, Dirt Road, how are you? Jessica Robert Lamoth, nice to have you here. Hello, Hadley. What's going on? Hi, Nancy Hayes, Forrest Louie, and Obi Flett. Thanks for coming on in. And Pixie Lara, Search and Destroy, W. David Page. Good to see you guys. Sky's the Limit is back. Sky's the Limit will be signing autographs after the show as well. Line up to the right of the studio, if you don't mind, to the right of the studio. Hi, Pink Volo. Von Patrick, good to see you. And let's continue on with a roll call. Shane Barber, good to have you back, man. Doug Shelby is here. The Doug Shelby has arrived, which means we can officially start this show. Hi, Pam Harris, Deb from Sac, Sweet Donna C. Good to have you all here. And let's see who else we have. Richard Elmore, Stephen Edmond, Natalie Wrangler over on Twitch. Come join us on YouTube, my friend. And let's see, Larry Fisher, Zen1, good to have you here. And Rose Brooks, good to see you. Gansfeld, nice to have you back. I love that name. Guy Calgary. Oh, that sounds so nice, man. So you should be playing right wing with Tim Hunter on the left wing and Jim Ploplinski at center ice. Yeah, I went with the old Jim Ploplinski. Maybe Joel Otto. How about that? Eddie Patch, how you doing? Bigfoot Rob, nice to see you. Hey, Lurks a lot. Sally Elka, looking lovely tonight. Chairman Meow, nice to see you. Worsley, thanks for coming on in. Hey, Forrest Louie, thank you so much for kicking off the Super Chat tonight. The Super Chat is a wonderful way to support what we do on this show on a nightly basis. So thank you so much. Let's get the radio side going so we can let Bill WD-40 in so he can lube us up for tonight's show. You're going to see him pop in right about there. And let's see, who else we got? Amber's Paraworld, nice to have you back. Millennium, Maggie M10, good to see you. Hi, Nikki in Seattle. And who else do we have here? Kaiju, been a while, good to have you here. Barbary Lyons, welcome to SOR Chat. Adam Lakatos, Larry Compton, welcome back. And we got about 40 seconds here. See if we can get her done. West Coast Dogman Project, welcome back. Jeff Steve Garvey, he'll hit a home run for you. And let's see, Mr. Cowley, welcome back to the show. Oh, Mr. Cowley loves his spaced out radio. There's my ladies from Beyond the Haunting. I'm giving you a wave right here. That's strictly for you, ladies. Love you. Love you lots there, Leanne. GF. Welcome back. Digger Dog, good to see you. We got 10 seconds. Susan B., nice to have you back. Hi, Bill WD40 and Markham. Here we go, everyone. Let's get those horns up. Let's rock this joint. Let's go. From the mountains of central British Columbia to you listening around the world, this, my friends, is Spaced Out Radio. I am your host, Dave Scott, sitting in the captain's chair of SOR headquarters. I'm welcoming you to tonight's show on our terrestrial affiliates around North America, digitally on Odyssey Radio, TalkStream Live, and KPNL. All of our archives are free. Join us at youtube.com /Spaced Out Radio. Do old Davey the favor, hit that subscribe button. Our website, spacedoutradio.com, we have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the news wire, check out our swag as well. Tonight's show is brought to you by Chive Charities. Help make the world 10% happier by visiting Chive Charities today. You can find them on our website. Looks like we're having a technical issue here tonight, as it seems like my microphone seems to have gone down, and I'm not sure why. Not sure why nobody is hearing me. I don't know what's going on. I really don't. Apparently, they cannot hear us on YouTube, which is not going to be good, but you can hear us on the radio side, which is okay. So we're going to play this up. Joedy Cook is our guest tonight, and we're going to get to him here momentarily. And then in hour number 3, we are going to head to the swamp. Our resident swamp dweller will be with us on a great, great night of radio. Yeah, that's what we do. And then Super Duke is coming in. Super Duke is coming in, and we are having a great night with him on the short encrypted report. It's Dave 101 night, and we'll get to some news as well. Joedy Cook is a retired U.S. Army and Iraqi war veteran. He is one of the most active Dogman and Bigfoot researchers in the state of Ohio. Originally, he was a member of the Cincinnati UFO research group, A.S.K, but realized that his interests were more in the field of cryptozoology. Joedy has been studying the Dogman and Bigfoot phenomena since 1991. He's the author of several books. He's also founded the North American Dogman Project, Cryptid Seekers, as well as the Ohio Center for Bigfoot Studies. This man has been there, done that, and there isn't much that scares him, but it was really, really cool. Really, really cool, because over the years, our good friend Joedy has become a very good friend of Spaced Out Radio, and we're always glad to have him on the show. Joedy Cook, welcome back to Spaced Out Radio, my friend. How you doing?
Pretty good. How about yourself?
I am great. And, you know, we got a lot of people out there who are probably wondering, what the hell is a Dogman? You know, like what is this all about? You know, you're somebody who has seen a lot in your life. You're a combat veteran. Thank you so much for your service, my friend.
Thank you.
We really do thank you from the bottom of our hearts. But you have also been out in the forests of North America chasing down these monsters that are not supposed to exist. How did you get interested in being a monster hunter?
Oh, it was something I've always interested as a kid. I think it was probably the first time is when I saw The Legend of Boggy Creek, as a child. That really scared the crap out of me. And it was something I always wanted to do was, look for monsters. And I've always loved watching all the old monster shows and things like that. And it's just something that stuck with me. And, actually, when you read my bio, where it was actually posted 81, not 91, there was a misprint there when I was writing my bio out. But it was just something I always wanted to do. And even in high school, I would go out looking, for Bigfoot and different other cryptids. Because here in Cincinnati area where I live, we had the Loveland Frog, and that was one of the big things I did. Go to Little Miami River and was always looking around there for the Loveland Frog Man, because that was one of the biggest legends that was going around at the time.
Right. I mean,
Yeah.
So you started looking for these monsters at a young age, and did you ever think you would have the experience of actually encountering them?
No, my whole thing is when I started out, I was just satisfied enough to see one. Okay. And just to tell myself, they do exist, because, back in the 70s and the 80s, when talk about monsters and things like that, people were thinking that, oh, that's crazy, because it was the big UFO, flap what was going on, in the early 80s, and that was like the biggest thing. Monsters was like one of the things that was far out from everybody. Bigfoot, a lot of people knew about Bigfoot because of the Patterson film and, some of the flaps that were going around the country at the time. And it was interesting. And I was collecting newspaper articles, all about this stuff, reading as much as I can about the subject. And I knew in my heart, if I did everything I wanted to do right, when it goes to investigating, I'll find the truth. And, you're young when you're thinking this, I'll find the truth. And yeah, I mean, it's just something that I fell into and was able to, fulfill goals, doing it.
What did your family say when you told them you wanted to become a monster hunter?
Of course, your mom, is like, oh yeah, you're gonna find it, honey. I know. Just be careful when you go out. You know how moms are. Dad's like, all right, just don't fall in the water. Type thing. Don't fall in the water. Don't bring something home you're not supposed to bring home. Things like that. Brothers and sisters, they kind of laugh at you. Now, my brothers and sisters stuff, they think it's cool. My daughters, they think it's cool. They tell their dads, or their friends that their dad does this, and they think it's a neat thing.
My dad absolutely doesn't even want to hear it. He doesn't like these subjects, so he just gives me the old eye roll, right? So you're pretty lucky, man, if you're getting accepted some of this.
Well, my childhood, I had a good childhood. I came from a Christian family. My father was Episcopalian minister. Okay. My mother was Irish Catholic when they met. And my dad's side of the family, because they're all either ministers or, his sisters are married to ministers. And it's like, you're marrying a Catholic, these are the people that put Christ on the cross, and stuff. And, my dad's like, yeah, whatever. And I have, there were 6 of us. And, my mother was like, the twins are going to become Catholic. So I had the best of both worlds, growing up. But my dad, his whole ideal on, the existence of monsters and things like that, he really believed in it. He didn't think that, these things were just apparitions or anything. He, being religious, it's like, these, could be demons, they could be, something, a horrible thing of God's creation or something like that. So he had a really good, view and opinions on it, where it supported me on what I wanted to do. It's not like, with him being a minister and stuff that, it was, taboo or, something like that. Stay away from that stuff. He was very cool about it. My mom was very open about it too, because, my parents were very supportive of what we wanted to do. Now, my mom was not supportive about me going in the military, because, boy, she went down to the recruiting station and she gave them hell, for signing her little baby up to join the army. She wasn't happy about that. So,
Oh my.
yeah.
Oh
yeah.
my. How come?
My you understand, my mom was, right off the boat, from Ireland and stuff. And, her family, her parents were killed when she was young, and her whole family got put into an orphanage. And this is right around, like the 1930s and stuff. And the Second World War broke out, and all of her brothers left the orphanage to go fight. So, and here she is, left in the orphanage as a child because her brothers left, to go fight the war. And they came back, and when you're in combat, you're not the same human being you were when you left. You're not the same person. And she saw that with her brothers, and it's like, this is not going to happen to my child. Because every parent, thinks as soon as your kid goes in the military, a war is going to break out. Because my brother got drafted for Vietnam. So, but to get back on subject, my parents were very open, about what I was doing, and very supportive about what I was doing.
Well, that's good. That's good. So what led you down the path of finding Dogman? Because usually for a lot of people, it starts with Sasquatch.
It did actually start with Sasquatch with me. How everything began is I found a local UFO group. Okay, because I was really into UFOs at the time, and there weren't any Bigfoot group I could find whatsoever. And this is like way before the internet came out and so forth. So I joined this UFO group, and we did a live television show every first Wednesday of every month on public access TV. Okay, and that's where everybody was doing stuff. And so it ran for probably it ran for 10 years, I believe. I wasn't there for all 10 years, but it ran for about 10 years. But we were getting people who were coming on the show, talking about your UFO experience, talking about different cryptids and things. And I was like, this Bigfoot subject sounds really interesting. It's something I might want to look into, but still stay with the group, but, go off and do the Bigfoot stuff. And then we'll start getting more and more reports all around the state of Ohio, because I basically stayed in Ohio. And just the amount of reports I was getting and talking to people, there was definitely something there, definitely something to it. And, I started to expand out a little bit, because when you think about Bigfoot, you only thought it was in the Pacific Northwest. And that was it. You never thought it was anywhere else. But, people are talking about what they're seeing. Then you're talking with police officers and, people in very high positions, in local and state government that seen these things, and they're telling you what's going on. So it was fascinating. I mean, I still have all my files and paperwork and everything going all the way back to the 80s. I just sent a lot of it off to a guy up in Pennsylvania that has a huge library that copied just about everything I had, just to put into the library for archives on Bigfoot, UFOs, and Dogman. And I just had a really good time doing it. And as you know, the Bigfoot field got very political, not politics political, but inside political. And things were breaking off into different cliques. If you didn't have the right last name, you weren't doing a conference, and they didn't want to listen to anybody else that had something to say, because you didn't have the right name or the right connection or something like that. And people were just getting really tired of it. And I'm like, man, it's so political and so, you know, I can't think of the right word to say, but it was just so crazy. No one's communicating with it. No one wanted to talk to anyone because it was like a click. And then this new subject starts popping up, Dogman. People are seeing this Dogman thing in Wisconsin and in Michigan. And I found that like really interesting because I heard a story about it in Ohio. And I start looking into it, and man, I mean, it was like a breath of fresh air. I mean, literally breath of fresh air. Just to find something. I got more excited doing the Dogman stuff than I did the Bigfoot stuff or even the UFO stuff. Because
Really?
yes, I mean, it was just, because, when people think of like Dogman, they think of like werewolves, something from the movie The Howling and things. And these are what nightmares are made of, you know, and these are things that are real to people. It's like, you can think about a Bigfoot chasing you or coming at you, and probably just after you run far away, he's going to run away. But deep in your mind, this thing's it's going to stay with you. It's going to stay until it gets you. It's the thing that's under the bed. It's the thing that's lurking outside your window. That's what people think about when they think about Dogman or had a counter or something close to it. It's a personal feeling that people get because of this thing. There's something supernatural about it that just draws you in, but yet puts the hair on the back of your head up.
For people who may not know, because Joedy, as our show grows around North America, we always have new listeners tuning in. For people who may not know, what is a Dogman?
Well, here's the thing. No one really knows what one is. Linda Goffrey had the best theory of what it is. It's a canine species that exists, that is capable of walking on two legs and mimicking a wolf and also mimicking characteristics of human movement. It's just some type of canine that was always there, but it was never seen. It was never discovered. It was seen not much, but heard more. I mean, do you kind of see what I'm saying? It was just one of these like hidden animals out there that was just discovered, but it was always there, but no one knew about it. But it existed. It's a whole different species of canine.
Wow.
So yeah, I mean that was like her theory, and that is probably the best theory I can even possibly think of. It's not a full-blooded canine type entity like we would think a wolf or a dog would be. This thing is capable of going from all fours and running on two legs. Its arms, its hands are not your typical canine features, because people talk about hands having somewhat fingers, either four with some type of moving thumb to it, but yet it's able to run like paws while it's on the ground. So that's what some people say they see when they see this thing. Now, the encounter that I had, that was the hand, for the paw was more of a hand, like a human hand, than it was a canine. So there are different characteristics of these things, but this is just something what people believe is, I'm trying to think of the right way to say this. It's definitely something other than a domestic wolf or a domestic dog. It's an entity of its own that has always been here. That's the best way I can explain it. You have other ways you can sit there and think about it, but you have to look at the most logical view of what this thing could be.
It's a creature that, in my opinion, comes out of nightmares, Joedy. It
Yeah,
really
exactly.
does.
That's
You know,
I
and
use the.
go ahead.
I'm sorry. I use the phrase. It's the thing that goes bump in the night, but it bites. And when you think about like fantasy creatures like dragons and fairies and things, similar to that, the Dogman werewolf kind of falls within that realm. It's just something that's, dragons and things, and so forth. It kind of falls within that realm. But it is definitely something that's in your nightmares because this thing can get you.
Is it something that it wants to get you, though?
We deal with a lot of different reports coming in. Flesh and blood, supernatural, extraterrestrial when dealing with it. We've had people that has had encounters where they have spoken with them telepathy. Okay. And when people encounter them and they see them, they get the feeling that this thing is going to get me, or this thing is letting me know that it sees me and I need to go. It's a feeling that they're getting. Is it a vibe or something they're picking up from them? It could be, but if one wanted to get you, it's going to get you. We hear about all these different people being attacked by dogs and being completely ripped apart by dogs. And I've got several autopsies from some of these attacks. And when you sit there and read them, there's just no way a domestic dog could be doing what they're doing to these people. And, people know that. And that's the kind of thing they get in their head. That could happen to me.
We got just under 90 seconds here. Do we know if anybody has ever been killed by a dogman?
On record, officially killed by dogman, no. There's nothing. There's stories like the legend of Land Between the Lakes and a couple other areas around. But like I said, we have all these different reports of all these people. Bodies been mutilated by what they say were dog attacks. And like I said, I have autopsies, about some of these. And the thing that I find really fascinating is when you're reading them, you can tell that the coroner is trying his best to justify what he's saying because he knows it's BS.
That's a great place to leave it. Nice power close to this half hour. Joedy Cook from the North American Dogman Project. This is Joedy comes on a couple of times a year to talk about all things cryptid and supernatural here. When we return on Spaced Out Radio, we're going to find out whether or not Joedy believes there's something supernatural to the Dogman encounters that we are encountering here in North America and around the world. You can check them on out. Just Google them anywhere. Go to North American Dogman Project. It is the best group that is out there. I think it's the only one. I could not be sure, but I think it's the only one and well worth your time in checking it on out because they're always looking for fellow investigators. More Dogman talk. Bipedal canines on Spaced Out Radio next. So, Joedy, just as a reminder, now that we've gone to commercial break, our YouTube audience and our podcast audience can still hear us. Our terrestrial audience cannot.
Okay.
I would say if you got private stuff to say, now is not the time to say it. Oh, who's joining Catherine Jones in Las Vegas May 19th through 21st? Who is joining her? Who is joining her? I'm going to go. Catherine, I'm going. I will be there with you. I will be there. We're having our second annual fan party in Las Vegas that weekend. Oh, my knees. My knees. My knees. Hey, I forgot to check this out. Look at this, man.
I saw that. I was looking at that. That is nice.
One of my listeners, the Michael Leger, he actually carved that for me. He carved this gnome here too for me. And I just got this in the mail the other day. And I'm not wearing a black turban. This is my ball cap wearing backwards, man.
I'll make you something to send back there. I'm working on this werewolf head, and it's going to look neat when it's done. But I'll send it to you so you can put it up there on your shelf.
Oh yeah, I'd love it. I'd love it. That's good stuff. That is very good stuff. And anyways, let me get back to where I need to go here. But so I got that. I actually, 4 of us, including my son, had a Sasquatch encounter back in October. We figure he was about a 10-footer. We had the whole torso, shoulders, head at about 9:30 at night. On the night before a full moon, forest was lit right up by moonlight, and we don't know how he left, but we sure know that he was there.
I was there in British Columbia looking for Bigfoot. One time, and it was interesting. It's an interesting place, to go. If you want to look for Bigfoot, there in Vancouver, I loved it there. I mean, I love being out into the woods in Canada. For some reason, they're different from the woods in the United States.
Right.
They're just something completely different. You guys have I guess maybe more mountains and stuff that we have, but it's beautiful.
Right. Okay. Can you guys hear me on YouTube? By the way, can you hear me on YouTube? I wonder if I chose the wrong. I'm just going to wait 1 second here, buddy. And no. Yes, they can. You can hear me. Okay. So let's try something here for a quick second. Do you hear this? Perfect. Okay, I think we solved the problem. There. Hi, Channel Warhorse. How you doing? Candy R. Joedy, do you mind turning your phone to vibrate if you don't mind? Fuzzy Lou, welcome to SOR chat. Lurks a lot. Pixie Lara, good to see you. And who else do we got coming in here? T2E, the lovely T2E. Social Dig, thank you so much, along with Louie for the super chat. The super chats are a great way to support what we do on this show on a nightly basis. Forrest Louie's coming to Vegas. So is Catherine Jones. Are you? Check the ticker below on our YouTube channel, May 19th through 21st at the Golden Nugget. We're going to have a live show happening there. And you guys are going to love it, man. You guys, honestly, you're going to love it. Wild Gamer Jimbo, how you doing, man? Good to see you. And we'll throw these up here. I will also be in San Francisco, March 17th through 19th for UFO Con 2023. That's going to be exciting. See you all there. And then in Vegas, 2 months later, Pixie Lara is going to be there. Evan Walters, you're pissing me off because you're late. I'm Matt Geek. Here we go. Second half hour of Spaced Out Radio is now underway. Good to have you with us. My name is Dave Scott. Very much appreciate earning your listening ears. I want to remind you that if you've missed portions of this show or others, check out our free archives by going to youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do old Davey the favor, hit that subscribe button. Our website, spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the Newswire, check out our swag as well. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on TikTok at Spaced Out Radio. From the North American Dogman Project, we have Joedy Cook. He is the founder, head investigator, and really he's put together probably the best group in North America regarding Dogman and Sasquatch sightings. Joedy, welcome back.
Thank you. I want to apologize to everyone. I've been up for like 2 days straight. So if I'm running slow and sluggish, that's why. I'm not completely on my A game right now when it comes to popping with answers. So just bear with me there.
Oh, you are doing great. You are doing great. Joedy, I mean, there's always a great debate on when it comes to these cryptids, whether or not they are flesh and blood creatures, whether there's something a little bit more special to them, whether they're supernatural. When it comes to Dogman, because many people have experienced things like telepathy from these creatures and close encounters, what do you think we are dealing with here?
Honestly, it's hard to say, because one thing I can tell you, probably the majority of the reports that we get coming in are 50-50 when it comes to flesh and blood and something dealing with supernatural. Okay. Where people, when it comes to the supernatural stuff, people were seeing them, they would appear, disappear, a blue light would flash either before or after, some type of predator type movement, where it's like it just literally you're looking at a bush and it just kind of comes out of the bush type thing, where it was somewhat where it was able to camouflage its way or something to that effect. That's the kind of stuff that we get when it comes to the supernatural stuff. The flesh and blood, it's still something that they see where something's there and they see it watching them. They're seeing the movement. They're seeing the movement going through the brush or going through the woods and kind of hiding as it's doing it, but able to still look at you. So that's what we consider flesh and blood, where it actually comes out. It allows you to see it. The supernatural part of it, it's just something that it just comes out right there in front of your face. Or where one particular case, which I thought was pretty good, where this lady was walking on a trail that she always walks on, and never encountered anything, any type of animals other than maybe a deer running across the path. And she was coming around a bend, and there was like an open area off there. So she kind of stopped there for a little bit. She wanted to do a little bit more stretching, and actually was kind of like getting back up to a stance. She saw what she considered was a werewolf, and it communicated with her, and it told her that she needs to keep moving. And that is what she said. It's like it spoke to her in the head. I need to keep moving out of the way. So we get encounters like that. I mean, really odd stuff. So are they different species of these things that are supernatural, or even possibly some type of extraterrestrial connection, or just flesh and blood? Because we know there's certain types of these creatures in appearance. So we're still trying to figure that out. If they're are broken up into different groups of them that deals with, the supernatural or the paranormal aspect of the subject, along with the flesh and blood. Now, when it comes to the extraterrestrial, that's a very small part, but it does happen. We do get those. But like I said, it's a straight almost 50-50 when it comes to these sightings between paranormal or supernatural and flesh and blood.
Right. So the idea that we never had a body, we don't really know what it is, we can only assume that our opinion is a good opinion from what we've investigated regarding the phenomena. So out of all the sightings that you've had, have you ever or that you have recorded, have you ever had a situation where people have seen this creature disappear or walk and vanish or get picked up by a UFO?
Yes, we've actually had people that has reported it. Now, as far as being picked up by UFO, no. But we've talked with numerous amount of people that have seen these things just literally run. And once it got like to a tree where it ran behind the tree, it never went any, further. It just completely disappeared. Or they were walking and they came right up on it. I mean, literally came up on it and they never knew it was standing there watching them. Or one case, which I thought was kind of interesting, because they were going there again, they were in the woods and they were walking down this path and they walked right past one and they heard movement behind them. They turned around and they saw it, but it went across the road. And they're like, there's no way we could have not have seen this thing if it was standing there. They said it was just trees and bushes that was standing there, that were there. So did this thing just come out of some type of portal or a dimension or something to that effect? Possibility. Now, you've heard the hollow earth theory, okay, which is a really interesting theory. Could these things that are flesh and blood, could these things be something that actually come from inner earth? And that's why we don't see them, similar to like Bigfoot. They're able to come up through, caves or caverns or something that has an opening that comes up to the surface, and they go right back down, and that's why we can't see them. That's another possibility.
Do you think that there is a relationship between Bigfoot and Dogman?
No, I don't. Not a coexisting relationship. We did this investigation in Utah, which was probably about 10 to 15 miles south of the Skinwalker Ranch. And there was this little ranch area, and there were 5, 6, 7 maybe houses that were all in this area. And there were farms. But you were able to see each other's houses. I mean, there was somewhat of a distance, but they were close enough, but you were able to see them, but they were spread out. And everybody in this community knew that there was a Bigfoot, and there was a wooded area over by there. And because they were able to hear it, they've seen it, but it never, ever touched any of their livestock or animals or anything like that. They would just see it pass the field or grabbing food or something that was in the field there, but it never bothered nobody. And then livestock start coming up missing. They're finding livestock that has just been literally ripped apart. Pets and things were coming up missing, and they knew that it wasn't the Bigfoot. And they were hearing like these growls coming out of the wood line. And then one night they said the whole community basically came out on this. They said they heard these awful screamings of two animals like in fighting, and it was like an echo. And they said it was literally that loud, and they knew one of them was that Bigfoot that lived there, because they were seeing this thing for years. It was never bothering anybody. And then they start seeing this creature that looks like a werewolf, but they never seen that Bigfoot again after that. And this investigation was 2 years ago. And to this day, I just spoke to the lady last week, and just to get some updates of what's been going on. She said, no, we've still to this day have never seen that Bigfoot again. But this creature is still here. It is still killing people's livestock. We've got pictures of the horse that has 5 claw marks going down the front of its chest, where this thing came at the horse from the front. And everybody knows, go at a horse at the front, he's going to rear up and he's going to kill you. None of these attacks were on the horses. Were by the rear. They're all by the front. There was actually one where this thing took a bite chunk out of the chest of the horse, the front part of the horse. And we have a picture of that. And the daughter was telling us, and she drew this picture. She goes, she was in her bedroom, and there's a security light by her bedroom, and there is the corral area where the horses are. So the security light popped on, and the horses were just going nuts. She opened, the curtains, looked out the window, and she goes, and now she's like 13 years old. And she goes, there was this huge, huge dog doing a crawl on the ground like an army man does in the movies. And she drew this picture, real beautiful picture. And it's definitely a werewolf type creature that she drew. And so the whole family was seeing this thing. We have pictures where this thing actually walked up on the porch. You saw the mud prints on the porch and the handprint that it would put on the windows looking in. I mean, this thing was doing this to like everybody. It was letting them know. And the one main woman witness that contacted us when we went out there, she's a animal activist. I mean, she is like a hardcore animal activist. And she's like, I'm going to kill this thing, because it's killing everything. So there was a little fawn that was running around that she was feeding. So she's like the closest to the wood line. And there's a trail once you come out, like where the driveway is, there's a trail that comes down into the woods by the driveway. So she's going down the trail and she's walking in the woods, and she's like noticing all these trees have all these scratch marks.
Wow.
Down all these trees. And we have pictures of that. And she found that fawn that she was feeding laying in the middle of the trail, and the whole reproduction organ part of the fawn was completely ripped out. Okay. So she went back up to her house to get a shovel because she was going to bury it. When she came back, it was gone. It wasn't there. So, she didn't know if maybe coyotes came and got it and ran off with it. So she goes back up to the house, and it's laying in her driveway. And it's so she's starting to freak out. Okay. So she, takes it, down, puts it back into off the trail there. She waits till her husband gets home, tells her husband, what happened, go down and bury it. Her husband grabs the shovel. He walks down there. He sees it. And then he comes back up and, I'm going to get my shovel. I'm going to grab me a gun to be on the safe side. Goes back down, and it's gone. So they were for like 2 days, this thing was playing with her with this fawn. And she goes, the only thing I can think of is that it saw me feeding this thing. And it was either a message to her that I can get to you at any time, or it was playing with me. So if it was playing with her, then this thing has intelligence. where it's able to do psychological games with people. So she's seen it. So she says it's exactly what's in the movie The Howling, is the way she explained it. It was always up on two legs. So they were able to see this thing. But yeah, these, when we went there, we went down to where the wood line was, or the woods, and we took all these pictures of these trees. I mean, this thing was just like marking the trees. And I talked with an expert on bears, and I was asking him about, does this look like bear marks on on trees? And he said, I've never seen this. He said, bears are very particular on the way they mark trees. He said, this thing from about 7 feet up, going completely down to the roots, it marked the tree. And bears don't do that. I mean, this is literally the whole circumference of the tree going all the way around. And it was like all the trees in that area where it was doing this, marking these trees from like about 7 feet up, going all the way down. I've never seen anything like that before. And to this day, they're still seeing this thing. The livestock's coming up missing. They're still killing. It's crazy.
If it's predatory for, farming meat, like cows or sheep or horses or whatever it may be, doesn't that lead to being more flesh and blood than supernatural?
Correct. It does. But with that being said, when you get reports of these things communicating telepathy and disappearing, it makes you believe that this has to be a whole different type of dogman, completely different from like this one in Utah. Because they asked them, I mean, have you ever seen where this thing like disappeared, reappear, flashing lights, just anything odd out of the ordinary? No, nothing. They hear this thing. They're able to see it, physically see it from a distance. It's letting them know they're able to see it. But when it comes to like the supernatural aspect of these sightings, they're very brief. They're not long sightings. They're very brief sightings that take place. It's not letting you know it's there. It's just something that you just walked upon it, as maybe if it's coming out of a portal or into a portal, or your energy brought it out, something like that. And some of these reports that we get when it comes to like the supernatural part of it, they're different as far as aggression towards human. It's completely different, because when it comes to the supernatural part of it, most of the sightings and encounters, the people themselves don't feel that their lives were in danger as the ones that were the flesh and blood. I mean, if you understand what I'm saying. So that's what we believe, that, these are completely two different type of entities. And here's another one that we recently had reports on. I've had 3 sightings in 3 different parts of the country where people would go into a cemetery to visit their loved ones, and they would see a dog-headed creature wearing a robe walking around the cemetery. In 3 different parts of the country, 3 different times within a 5-year period, with people who don't know each other. What is that? Is that supernatural? When they're seeing, when they see a dog-headed entity wearing a robe? My theory on something like that is, you heard of hellhounds. Hellhounds were the hounds that protected the souls in the cemetery from the demons stealing those souls. Is this what this could be? Could this be a real, hellhound protecting the souls in the cemetery? I mean, because what is it? Seriously, what is the chance that you have a total of 4 people that live in different parts of the country at different periods of time see the same thing?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's
Joedy, it reminds me of a couple of years ago when you were on the show, where afterwards you got a hold of me and you were getting calls and emails from fellow military members,
right.
talking about these Anubis-like creatures that they had seen both in Brazil and in Afghanistan.
It was actually Honduras and Afghanistan. Yeah, I'm thinking these were probably more extraterrestrial or supernatural. Okay, now in Afghanistan, the first call that I got was from a Canadian soldier that was in Kandahar Valley, and they were in a trench-like area there, and they were in a offensive positions. And what happened was there was like a bunch of kids. They said it was like a big stone wall that was over by where they were, and it kind of went down in a different direction. And they heard all these kids screaming, and they were running around the wall, coming down towards them. And then the pack of dogs were coming right behind them. And they're like, these kids are running from these dogs. So they started to open up on the dogs to keep them from killing the kids. But the dogs end up passing the children. And they're like, okay, maybe this is the Taliban coming. And so what they did, they popped smoke. So right there at the area, so if they would have came through, they would have had to come through the smoke. And he said this large creature that looked like Anubis comes out of the smoke. And they described it there that it was large, black, and it was wearing a robe, not a robe, but a cloth like a pharaoh, is the way they explained it. It has a long snout, the high pointed ears, and it came out of the smoke. And he said this thing was probably, 12, 15 feet. I mean, it was huge. And they ended up opening up on it. And they said it didn't affect this thing at all. It stood there and just looked at them as they were opening up on it. And eventually they stopped, and it just turned around and went. And he goes, we've never seen anything like that. We've heard stories from the people in Afghanistan about these things, but we never believed it until we actually saw it.
It's just amazing how quickly these things can light up a battlefield. You're preparing to be shot at, and the next thing you know, you got Anubis with swords coming at you.
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy. And then I had this other report. I was at a paranormal conference.
We only got about 10 seconds, so
okay.
I want you to tell that story, because this is one of my favorites of yours.
Yeah,
and I want you to tell that story about being at a paranormal conference and running into let's just say, a special projects person. And we'll tease it like that. Well, we got Joedy Cook for another hour here on Spaced Out Radio. And don't forget, we'll get to your questions as well in the next hour if you're in one of our chat rooms or on Twitter. Spaced Out Radio, rocking it out with the North American Dogman Project and Joedy Cook when we return for hour number 2.
It's okay to get something to drink.
Yeah, I'm going to step away for a second too, so I'm just going to put you in the green room, okay?
Okay.
All right. Don't forget, Cable Guy Matt is here. Hit him up for your free piece of autographed coaxial cable signed exclusively by Cable Guy Matt. Remember, folks, you can't buy these in stores. Limit one per household. And yes, if you sign up to be a VIP for this year's Las Vegas fan party, you will get a free piece of coaxial cable autographed by Cable Guy Matt. Limit one per household. Yeah. Okay, I'll be right back, guys. Stay tuned. We'll be right back. All right, I am back. And You'll be back too in about 1 minute, 30 seconds. Mennonite Abe, how you doing? Dave Bailey, welcome back. There's Joedy Cook, our good friend from North American Dogman Project. Oh, that looks like a good Coca-Cola right there.
Oh, God, yeah. Nice and cold.
Oh, that's the best. That's right, Thurston Howell III. I've heard noises in the basement again. I think El Ovni Volador may be coming back soon. Race fan, you'll have to find out from cable guy Matt what kind of coaxial cable he'll be doing. Let's see here. Want to remind everybody that put your questions in capital letters, and that I will be in San Francisco for UFO Con 2023. Go to UFOCon2023.com. You can get your tickets there. Come see me, come hang out. And then our Vegas party, which will be on May 19th through 21st. We're still selling VIP tickets until April 30th. Here we go with the hour number 2, everyone. Stay tuned. Hey, Anthony. Hey, Zen2.
You're listening to Spaced Out Radio with Dave Scott. Follow Dave on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio and on Facebook, Spaced Out Radio Show.
Here we go with hour number 2 of Spaced Out Radio tonight. Thank you so much for joining us. We very much appreciate earning your listening ears wherever you are on this beautiful planet we call Earth. Hello to everyone listening in on our terrestrial affiliates around North America, digitally on Odyssey Radio, TalkStream Live, and KPNL. All of our archives are free. Join us at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do old Davey the favor. Hit that subscribe button. The Desert Clam has set the password for tonight in the SOR Space Travelers Club. What do you got for us, Clam? Salsa. Salsa is your password. Use it wisely, Space Travelers, as the Clam sets the password each and every night right here on Spaced Out Radio. Our website is spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the Newswire, check out our swag as well. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on TikTok at Spaced Out Radio. Here we go, hour number 2 from the North American Dogman Project. We have Joedy Cook, the creator, the top investigator, probably in this subject anywhere in North America and probably the world. Joedy, welcome back.
Thank you.
I got to ask you, before we get to some audience questions here, you know, our good friend, the late Butch Witkowski in Pennsylvania, was really looking into what he called the bipedal canine, which he felt was bigger, stronger, and meaner than these dogmen that seem to be out there. You know, and unfortunately, Butch is no longer with us. But, you know, what's your thoughts on the difference between the dogman and this bipedal canine?
You know, I've talked to Butch about this a few times, and I agree with him. I believe that what he is describing up in Pennsylvania, and there was an area called
is that the Lichen Loop?
Well, they call it the Lichen Loop, but there was a national forest there. I can't think of the name at the top of my head, where a lot of these sightings were taking place. And actually, these things were actually much bigger when it's being reported compared to a lot of these other dogman sightings around the area. Okay, it was just in this one particular area is where these things, the much larger ones, were at. And the whole characteristics of these things, they were very much more canine in characteristics, but in some cases the legs were canine, or the legs were more like a human. Okay, which I would believe was more human because of the size of this thing, the way, you know, people were explaining it to be, and it made more sense that it would have, you know, human style legs, which is not uncommon in the much larger species of this animal, especially when in Europe. Uh, we have a team in Europe and stuff, and they're the ones that they describe over there. They're all human style legs and a human style foot. None of them has the typical canine style leg, and these things are much bigger than the ones that are here in the United States. And what Butch was talking about is very similar to what is seen in Europe.
Really?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. I wish I can remember the name of that forest off the top of my head. Up there where in Pennsylvania, where all the sightings were taking place, and they were actually seeing what they would call the wolf boy. It was a much smaller version of a dog man, but it was about the size of a child. And there were a bunch of reports coming out of there about these little werewolves. And in the same area where these large lichens were that Butch was talking about. And I found that to be extremely fascinating, that you had two different species, or either were these like children, offsprings, that is what they were seeing. But I don't think so. I think this was like a whole different species of some type of canid that was able to walk on two legs. Shenango Valley is that's what it is.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Very interesting with that. When we talk about the Dogman and the way it is, it always seems to give people this sense of fear. People have raised guns to it. They get a telepathic message saying, I wouldn't do that if I were you. Things like that. I mean, why, comparatively to Sasquatch, why do you think this creature emanates fear so much?
I'm going to tell you a couple or two stories, okay, where these were very close encounters. One is hilarious, and the other one isn't, okay, and they both involve guns. Okay, these things I don't believe they have fear of guns. Okay, the first story, we had a guy contact us, and he goes, I'm going to tell you a story, and is on God's bed, this thing is real. He goes, I drink. Okay, I drink. I'm going to tell you, I hunt, but I do not drink and hunt together. And he goes, I'm out hunting, and I'm standing there, and I see a buck. I mean, he's close. The buck doesn't see him. He's getting ready to take this shot. Something comes from behind him, and he didn't know what it was, so he stayed still. He thought maybe it was a deer coming from behind, and he said this thing stood next to him. It shadowed. I mean, he looked over, and he says, it was a wolf standing next to me, literally standing next to me. It smelled. It looked down at me. We looked at each other in the eye, and it lifted its arm up towards the deer, and he's still in position like this, and looked at him, looked at the deer, and kind of had its arm out. So he shot the deer, and he said this thing just like walked over, grabbed the deer, and walked off. It's like, he says, I felt it wanted me to kill the deer for him, so he wouldn't have to chase it. And he goes, I'm telling you, this story is 100% real. He goes, I don't hunt anymore. He goes, this thing was so huge and had a massive body, had a long tail, had a high pointed ears to snout. He said this thing was a wolf. It was like a werewolf out of a movie. And I thought that was like one of the neatest stories I ever heard, because here he is next to a human with a gun, and it showed absolutely no fear. The second story was, there was a guy, 68 years old, hunting turkey. He hears the turkeys, comes out of the wood, comes into an opening, and he said that 5 dogs ran out at him on 2 legs and made a circle around him. He had a gun in his hand. They just came right on him. They didn't touch him, but they came right on him. And he, at no time did he ever say werewolf, dogman, anything. He kept referring to them as dogs. And he said they looked like German shepherds. And he said the small one was a female because the other ones were males. He says I was able to see their organs, so I can tell they were. But he said that the small one, the one that was showing aggression, was a female. And he goes, I raised my weapon down towards when she was getting close. She would move back, but the other ones would do like a growl, show their teeth. Like, if you touch her or hurt her, you're not going to make it. But this whole time, they're pushing him back out of the open area into the wood line, and they basically kind of like let him go. And what he believes is that they were hunting the turkeys as he was, and they moved him out because that was their food source. But the way he described them was, he said they looked like German shepherds. They had the high pointy ears, a snout. He said they were about 6, maybe 7 feet tall. The hands, he said, were very human looking, but the legs were very dog looking. This is in Akron, Ohio. This is 5 hours from where I live. And he said that the female, she was probably about 4 or 5 feet, 6 feet. She was actually smaller, but she was the one that showed most of the aggression. But it showed no fear because he had a gun. They knew he had a gun, but he knew the minute he got one, the rest of them were on him. So yeah, I don't think these things fear humans at all.
That is so weird. So weird. One of the things that I've noticed over the past, let's go back to the Beast of Bray Road in Wisconsin, that Linda Godfrey, the late Linda Godfrey, God bless her, because she was a big fan of what we do and what you do and everything. And she is definitely sorely going to be missed. But, when she broke that story in 1989, we were only hearing reports around Wisconsin, Michigan, Ohio. Now we're getting reports of these creatures right across North America. If we just focus on North America here.
All over. Yeah.
What happened?
Places, it boomed. I mean, within the last 10 years, it just boomed. Could it be, because we're going into their environment with building homes, building communities, things like that? Is it the food source that's bringing them out? We don't know, but it just seems like the population just boomed within 10 years. I mean, here in Ohio, we had a case in 1972, the Defiance, Ohio case. That was like the only werewolf type dogman sighting you heard of, other than when Bray Road broke out in the 80s, and the Michigan Dogman in the later 80s. And that was it. That's all you ever heard. You never heard of anything else anywhere else in the country until, I say, 2005, 2006 is when it just really started to boom. And now just about every single state in the union, except for Hawaii, we're getting reports. We're getting reports out of just every province in Canada. We're getting reports all over the world. They're just, it's just booming. I don't know what's going on, why all of a sudden that these sightings are just so massive now, and there's so many in population. We're still trying to figure out why. And the only thing that's logical is that we're doing so much building communities and building industrial parks and things like that. We're going into their environment, and it's just bringing them out because they really have nowhere else to go. And that's the biggest part of it. And their food source, when you start building communities, that food source is gone. Those deers, rabbits, and all that stuff, they move on because they're afraid of the sounds, the equipment, things like that. And, so that food source is gone. They're going to be, have to move out too. And that's why you're starting to see a lot more of them in communities than you do in the woods.
See, the one thing that I get upset with when it comes to whether it's Dogman or Bigfoot is people claim to have all of these really good pictures. Look at these pictures I got. And they're so zoomed in and pixelated. And they're like, well, can you see the ear? Can you see the snout? I can't see anything. All I see is a bunch of blocks.
Right.
And yet, and I think that hurts the field, man. I really do think that hurts the field when people are trying to present evidence like that. I mean, for something like this creature or Sasquatch or UFOs, we need concrete videos. We need concrete photos. What do you say to when somebody submits you an already zoomed in photo?
A lot of these pictures that we get, are obviously shadow and light. Your eye is trained to pick out things that are familiar. Okay. It's like I have a digital picture that was taken on a digital camera probably about 10 years ago. And there was one of our team members was, before the NADP from this other group we had, was going up into a cemetery to take pictures. No one has been buried in this cemetery since, I think, 1787 was the last person. Comes up, she sees a Bigfoot digging in the cemetery, snaps the picture. Okay. Now, you can see the Bigfoot really good. But what you can also see, because of the digital stuff that's in there, you see a human's face that's in the bush that's right there, and you see an alien standing there. Now, is that alien there because you see the body, the black eyes? Is there an alien there? Is there a large human face with a mustache there also in the picture? No. It's because it's the shadow and light and the digital that made that image, and your eyes were able to pick that out because you were familiar with it because you've seen those type of images before. And that's what's going on in a lot of these pictures when people are looking at it. They're drawing the little red circle around it or the blue line to show it the shape, and you still can't see it. We get a lot of that, but I don't think anybody is trying to deceive anybody. It's just what their eyes and their brain sees makes them believe that is what's in that picture. Now, we have other pictures. I've got this really good picture that was taken in one of the one of the little areas in Utah where we were, and the woman sitting on her back patio, and there's the woods right there, and she sees something moving in there, so she snaps the picture. Okay. And she gave it to us. Now, when you zoom in, you see something standing there. And when you zoom in even further, I mean, you get a really good outline of what it is. It looks like a dog man. You see the eye shine, the mouth is open, and you see the red tongue. Okay. Now, I believe this picture of a solid being is what this is, because you're able to see it. Even though it's in the wood line, you're able to see it because you can see the outline of it because of the shadow and light, because you saw the eyes and you see the red tongue. So there's a physical being standing there. Okay. Now, but you have a lot of these other pictures that come in that, where someone is zooming into a really green area, and you see the shadow light, and it picks out, oh, that's a dog man. That's a dog man. We get that. We get a lot of that. But like I said, it's just one of those things that your eyes are trained to pick out things that are familiar, and that is what they're seeing. There's nothing actually there.
It's all pareidolia.
It is. It is.
All right, let's turn it over to some of our questions from our audience here because we got a lot of them. Let's go to Eric here, who is asking, do these creatures show up on FLIR?
Yeah, and really good. There's a small group called Hellbound Holler out of I believe Kentucky or Tennessee, and Jessie, she's one of the best female dogman research I think that's out there, you know. And her and her husband was out there and at LBL, and they caught this image on thermal, and you can see it, and you can see the high pointed ears, and it's kind of like in a gully, and you see it moving back and forth, and that is probably the best image of what could be the beast of land between the lakes that's in a thermal. Now, with that being said, a few years ago, I was doing an investigation out at Daniel Boone National Forest, and the people from FLIR actually came out with us. Okay, on this one, they were testing the new FLIR system. It's a handheld system that they were making for law enforcement and fire and search and rescue. And what it was basically a smaller version of what was on an Apache helicopter. This thing was able to pick up distance, size, and so forth. And they picked up an image at Daniel Boone National Forest that was, I believe, was a Bigfoot. And it was the clearest image. It was black or white on black. Okay, it wasn't the color, but it was probably the best image of a Bigfoot I've ever seen on a FLIR. And they have that image, and I have no idea what they did with it, but I've seen it. I was there, and you had the best detail. It's like, you know, when you're watching the news and you see these FLIR combat images, you know, from Iraq and Afghanistan or the border or something like that. That's what it's like. It was that clear. You were able to see it.
Unbelievable. You know, let's get to a few more questions, and I'll fire up because I got so many questions for you. Let's go to Susan. Will you ever be in or near Pennsylvania to investigate?
I'm hoping to be up there sometime next year. I'm going to be doing some research with some friends and stuff up there. We want to go back out to Shenango Valley is what we're planning on doing. The last year, this last past year, I haven't been out into the field. I've got chronic kidney disease. I only have one kidney, and I just been diagnosed with multiple myeloma blood cancer. So this last year, I've been really sick, and I have not been able to get out into the field to do the things I want to do. You know, getting my treatment and, you know, new experimental medication stuff. So I'm starting to feel a lot better. You know, I'm starting to be myself again, and I'm hoping, you know, to get back out into the field. And like I said, Shenango Valley is one of the places I want to go and go back up there too. And once it happens, we're going to post it. So if you follow any of our North American Dogman Project's Facebook pages, it will be on there. So just, definitely just keep an eye out on it.
On that note, we're going to get you to hold on right there because we are going to go to break here. At the bottom of the hour, we have Joedy Cook from the North American Dogman Project here for another 30 minutes here on Spaced Out Radio. We got a ton of your questions to get through. We'll try to get through all of those. And we'll see what else comes up. Talking Dogman, werewolves, and so much more. Spaced Out Radio continues right after this. Stay tuned. All right, we are clear.
I have to tell you something. When I was in British Columbia, when we went on Bigfoot hunt out there, I spoke at the conference there back in, I think it was 94. And it was great. Renee DeHenden is a legend, and he was taunting Grover Craze when he was speaking, because those two hated each other. They literally hated each other, and he was just completely taunting. I mean, we went out with him, and I mean, that guy's the most knowledgeable person on Bigfoot I've ever met in my life. And we would correspond back to each other, and he would rip articles out of magazines and send them to me. Write me handwritten letters telling me, about a sighting that happened and that he's documenting. I mean, this guy was, he was a legend, absolute legend in the field.
I never got to meet them. That would have been at Harrison Hot Springs, right?
Yeah, Harrison Hot Springs. Yeah, that was fun. that we had a good time.
Isn't that a beautiful area?
Oh my God! I mean, Vancouver is. Oh my! It's so beautiful. One thing about Canada, what I loved about Canada, it looks like the United States, but it has a touch of Europe to it. It's clean. The people are nice. They're friendly. Some of the buildings, it's like there was a Army Reserve building that kind of looked like a castle or something like it. It was this like stone building that looked like something you would find in England. And it was just beautiful. Yeah. I mean, it was.
I know exactly. It's a museum now.
Yeah. And it's like, man, this thing was neat. And this is what these reserve Army Reserve guys were going to. And it was just, I loved it. I fell in love with Canada. Like you said, the people were great. Renee DeHenden. I mean, when I was talking to you about when you're out in the woods in Canada, it's different from being out in the woods in the United States. They're just you're in a different country, but it's like you're in a whole different part of the world, even though it's so close, and it was weird because it's like the wildlife is like, it comes into town. It's like no big deal.
Oh yeah.
We were out there, and there was a cougar. Man, it was just like walking down, and the police stopped, and everybody stopped, just let the thing cross the road. It was this like, here in the States, man, they had state police out there, man, with shotguns looking for this thing.
I remember I lived just west of Harrison in Mission, British Columbia. And I'm coming home from dinner one night, and we'd heard that it was January. We heard there was a cougar in our area. And sure enough, I come up this hill towards my house, and I see this big freaking cat jump right across in front of my vehicle.
Mm-hmm.
And so I stop, and the cougar's on the side of the road. I open up my window, and I'm like, "Hey, puss, what's going on, man?" And he looks at me, and I look at him. I said, no, I'm not getting out. No, I'm a meal. I'm a meal, and I'm not getting out. But I said, you better get out of here. Literally, I just said, you better get out of here soon, because the police are looking for you.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know Chris Murphy?
I know who he is. I've never talked to him.
Yeah, good. Really good guy. Really good guy. Because I stayed with him when I was up there in Canada, and I remember, I said, Chris, I want to find a Army surplus store, because there's something I'm looking for, and I'm hoping to find it there. And we went down this one road, and when I talk about how it looks like Europe, this little road we went to where this Army surplus was, I mean, reminded me of Germany. You know, it was just how this road was. And I go into this Canadian Army surplus store, and it's all U.S. stuff in there. I mean, just all U.S. stuff that's in there. And I was looking for something Canadian, and the guy didn't have it. I'm like, "Are you serious? You're a Canadian Army surplus store, and all you have is just American, American
Hold on,
stuff
buddy.
in there."
Here we go. Past the halfway point of Spaced Out Radio tonight. Thank you so much for joining us. My name is Dave Scott. Very much appreciate earning your listening ears. Want to remind you that if you've missed portions of this show or others, check out our free archives by going to youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do old Davey the favor, hit that subscribe button. Our website is spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the news wire, check out our swag as well. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on TikTok at Spaced Out Radio. We continue on till the top of the hour. Joedy Cook, he is the head of the North American Dogman Project. We're going to get to more audience questions with you, Joedy. Thank you so much for being here again tonight.
Thank you.
We're going to go to Kaiju. Joedy, can you please share your personal Dogman encounter? Also, maybe a Bigfoot encounter?
Yeah, I'll do the Bigfoot one first. When I was in the Army, I was in northern Michigan. There's a training base there in Grayling, Michigan, where the U.S. and Canadian forces train. And it was my first time up there. Okay. And there was all these stories about, Bigfoot. I remember when we were in a training area, I would see these large footprints and stuff that was like in the road, because the road was kind of more sandy, and you would see them. And I was like, is this Bigfoot? And they're like, oh yeah, these things are up here. They don't bother us. They don't bother you. And I was on guard duty one night, and I was hearing something, and how my position was, there was a road, and the road came into a Y, and we had a bunker that we dug in the ground, and it was all sandbags. So I was like stuck inside this bunker, kind of like under the ground, but I was able to see. And, you heard this grunting sound that was in front of me that was going back and forth, back and forth. Now, everybody was probably about 50 yards behind me. So I was there like by myself, and I was scared to death, man, because it's like, I'm thinking, man, this is a Bigfoot. So that was kind of my first, time, I guess, dealing with something like that. Now, the second year I was there, I was working on the range, and I was a ammunition specialist at the time. And we just got done qualifying a bunch of people on the 50 caliber. So we're packing everything up. The one group came up, picked the weapons up. We had the ammunition. So we're in a like a 4x4 type Blazer type vehicle. So it was on a Friday. So we're heading back to the ASP, which is the ammo supply dump. And we had to get the ammunition in there before they closed, or otherwise we would have to stay in our vehicles at that point until Monday morning. Okay. And that wasn't going to happen because this was our free weekend. So we kind of went off road to get from point A to point B. And you don't go off road on a military reservation to destroy, whatever type of plant life that's out there. And as we're going down the hill, we noticed the tree line is getting very thick. Now, I'm the passenger. We had a driver, and we had two other guys that were sitting in the back. And we got to a point where we couldn't go any further because the trees were just too close together. So we went to back the vehicle up. And as the vehicle was being backed up, we caught something off to our left that was moving. We're thinking, well, here, this tree's getting ready to fall on us. We hit it or something, and we stopped, and it was right there. I mean, he was 12, maybe 15 feet away from us. I mean, he was that close, and you were able to see the detail. Now, this was about 8:30, 9 o'clock maybe in the evening, and it was still light out. Even though we were in the woods, it was still light enough, that was coming through that you were able to see good detail. And I mean, this thing was probably 7.5 feet. He wasn't very tall, but he was massive body. He was built like a bodybuilder. You saw the cut in his arms and everything. Massive chest, long fingers, long legs, long arms. And what was kind of unique about him is I believe he was an older male. He was definitely male, but it's like the hair on his chest was kind of missing. His skin was like kind of flaky, a little bit like mange, like you see a dog with mange.
Right.
The hair like on the back of his head, top of his head was really thinned, kind of like on his shoulders area. It was like a reddish brown color. The skin tone was kind of was a light mocha. It wasn't Caucasian white. It wasn't dark like Hispanic dark, but light Hispanic mocha color. And the nose was very flat, very human, massive jaw, had a sacral crest on its head. His eyes, because I remember, because the sun was kind of like behind us, and when you saw the eyes, they were almost like a blackish red color. I mean, and when he moved, it was like a glide. It's not like you saw his feet move. It was just so smooth. And the whole time he's looking at us, and it just goes. And we're like sitting there. I mean, what happened? What did we just see? What was this thing? And so we get back up on the main road, and, we're completely quiet. Okay. We get to the A.S.K point. We drop the ammunition off, do our signatures, and we go back to the cantonment area, and we're sitting there, and we're like, should we report this? And the driver says no. Well, for one, because we went off road, they're going to know where we saw this thing at. They're going to care less about this thing being out there and caring more about going on off road and destroying the property. And so we never said anything. I never said anything for probably 15 years, until I wrote Traces of the Grassman, and I talk about it in that book. That was the very first time, because you have to understand, when you're doing Bigfoot research, it was kind of a taboo thing for a Bigfoot researcher to see Bigfoot, back in the 80s and the 90s. Okay. It's like, oh yeah, you're a Bigfoot researcher. You saw it. So a lot of researchers who've seen these things never said anything, because it was just kind of a taboo, type thing. Because it's like they felt, if researchers felt, if they said they saw the Bigfoot, people would believe it wasn't true because they were a Bigfoot hunter. Do you see what I'm saying? It was just one of these things no one ever talked about. It was just something they kept, and I knew that, and that's why I never said anything. And I remember one researcher telling me, never tell anybody you've seen one, because they won't believe you because of what you do. They will believe a witness before they would believe someone who's researching it. And I never could understand that. But as time was going on, I understood what they were saying. That's why I never said anything. And I didn't really say anything about it until actually I was getting out of the field. And that's when I wrote about it in the book. But it was, I mean, the detail, I mean, I can, there was an awe when you saw this thing. You know, it was something. I was so happy and I was so scared at the same time, because this is something that I always wanted to see, to prove to myself they do exist. But on the other hand, I was scared because it did exist, because it wasn't normal in our society. You know, so there was good fare and bad fare with this thing. Now, when it comes to Dogman, I was terrified on that sighting. We were at we were in Daniel Boone National Forest, which is probably one of the biggest hotspots in Kentucky, other than LBL, to look for Dogman. And this forest, the Native Americans would never go in it. Okay, this whole area, it was just odd, you know. And how can I explain? When you go into Daniel Boone National Forest, it's kind of like broken up to like 3 trails. You have a lower trail, middle trail, and you have a higher trail. And most of the people stay on the lower trail. And we were up on the middle trail, and we were in probably about 3 miles. There were 5 of us, and we all had our headlights on and flashlights, because it got really dark in there. And this was about, close to midnight when we were in there. And we came, there was the road kind of went to like the trail went to like a real sharp bend. Okay. And as we came around the bend, we saw eye shine, and we saw a deer. So when imagine you're on the road, okay, there's a little open area on your left. The deer's there. Next to the deer is where the wood line kind of started back going down the side of the trail. Okay. So we saw the deer saw us. And as the deer looked up and saw us, it literally, like, it hopped, it kind of like hopped to go over this bush. Now, this bush was probably about 4.5 feet tall. Okay. And probably about 6 feet long. And it kind of like hopped over it. As it hopped over, this huge creature stood up behind the bush. It had high pointed ears. It had a snout. It had long arms and it had long legs, and it literally grabbed the deer on the side where it pulled it into its chest. And we had our flashlights on it. We had our headlights on it. And this was a Dogman. This was your true Dogman. And when you think of Dogman, you look at pictures and you look at drawings, and you think, yeah, that's what it is. And when you see it, you see the canine in it, okay? But when you see it, it's fear, because it's not supposed to be there. It's not supposed to exist. Okay. And when it looked at us, the feeling I got was it's looking into my soul. I mean, I really felt it, because I felt this push into my body when I see it. I don't know, it could have been fear, okay, because it had no fear of us whatsoever. And it was like walked right off. And then you heard this scream, this awful scream, and it was the deer. And at that point, it's like, man, we're not going further, because if we try to go any further, this thing is killing this deer for food. It's going to come after us, thinking that we're trying to take it away from it, and we're not going to put anybody's life in danger. And we left, and I mean, this whole time we're literally running down this trail, looking out. People are tripping, you know. I mean, it was absolute fear. But, you know, this image that I see, I'll never forget it. I will never forget it. And, you know, there was one time, you know, my dog looked at me. I have a 150-pound male German Shepherd. He's 7 years old. He's muscular. He is huge. And he sat in the chair. I had to buy him his own chair. And he sits in his chair and he looked over at me one time and it snapped right into my head, because it was like that look that was on his face was this look that we saw, you know. And it just, I mean, I've been scared, you know. I've been scared in Iraq, but I've never had this level of scared. I didn't even have it with the Bigfoot. I had it was calm. The feeling was calm, because I knew I knew this thing was not going to hurt us. You know, there was no smell. There was nothing. It just, this thing moved, and it was just like it was calm and it was gentle. Was the feeling, and everybody that was with us, we all had that same feeling. It was calm, it was gentle. But when it came to this Dogman, it was just absolute fear. You know, it was one. My heart was racing so bad. I'm not kidding you. It felt like it was busting out of my chest. I mean, that was the fear. I've never had this fear before. And it wasn't the image of him. It was the way it looked at us is what the fear was.
Felt the same way when I saw my first extraterrestrial.
Mm-hmm.
Felt the exact same way. It makes total sense. And thank you for sharing those. We got 7 minutes left. We're going to try and burn through as many questions as we can. Let's go to Adam here, who's asking, are you able to feel a Dogman's energy without seeing them?
You know what? I had someone ask me that before, and I was in an area one time, and the feeling I felt when I had my Dogman sighting, I felt that. And that's probably what he's asking. I felt that same feeling, and there was nothing around. I went and did this show about 2 years ago at Knob Creek, and I was out in the woods, and that's when I had the feeling. And I had something throw a large stick at me, and I heard the ground. I actually was able to take pictures of this thing. And yeah, I had that feeling prior to all that happening. So yeah.
Oh, very interesting.
Yeah.
Very interesting. All right, let's go to Brown Dwarf. Are you familiar with the Dogman encounter with photo out of Jedediah State Park, Del Norte County, California? If so, do you have any info on that?
Yeah, that was ours. It was how the story came about. We were contacted by a guy that was out at Jedediah National Forest. Now, the guy was a big Trekkie fan, and some of the Next Generation and some of the other Star Trek movies were filmed in Jedediah. So he wanted to go out to the area where they actually did some of the filming. And as he was going down the trail, he saw two people off to his left in this little open area. And he heard them talking, and he was able to see them. He waved, they waved back. So he's going up the trail, and probably about 15, 20 yards up, he heard them scream. He goes running back to where he saw them at. He sees this werewolf. And this is the way he described it. This werewolf was standing there. He didn't see the people, but it was standing there. Grabbed his phone, took the picture, and just ran home. And he was terrified of what he saw. And how he contacted us, because he's looking at the picture and he's Googling it. And he came back our organization, and we went out there and ended up talking to him, or one of our investigators, Dev, and she was with a STAR team from MUFON. So she had a lot of equipment where she can do metadata on the phone to make sure that it was, not a prop or anything like that. And the metadata showed what was there was there. That animal was physically there in that picture. So the guy said he went back the next day to see if there was any evidence. And he saw a little bit of blood, but not a whole lot. So he doesn't know if it was maybe from those people. But he reported it, that, there was 2 people there, and the Forestry Service just totally ignored him about that. But it really terrified him. But he was able to get that picture. And I think that's one of the best pictures that's out there of Dogman. I mean, that is like a really, really good picture. If people want to see it, they can go on our website, or, just send me a message and I'll send you a copy of it.
Yeah, absolutely. I would love that. Absolutely love that. And I know our listeners would too. All right, let's get to another question. Let's go to Barbary Lyons here. Joedy, has your documentary come out yet, or did I miss it somehow?
No. What happened on our documentary, this is what's going on. The first year when the Kickstarter went through and COVID broke out. Okay, so the first year we couldn't do anything because none of the witnesses wanted to come forward and talk and get out there because of COVID. And then when we finally got out there to get the filming, we got it filmed, and we're in the process of editing. And then we find out that 2 of the witnesses literally lied about their story.
Oh, no.
Literally lied. And we're almost completely done with editing. And then we had a 3rd witness that came forward and says, look, my family says I shouldn't have gave you this story for free. They believe I should get something out of it. And I don't want you to use it unless I should get something. And my family says I should get 25% of each documentary. I'm like, it's like, you signed a waiver giving us permission to use your image in your story. That's a legal form. And no, it wasn't legal because it wasn't notarized. So we had to get lawyers involved to find out, can we still use this? Is it a legal form? 8 months. It took them 8 months to figure out what was going on, if we can use this or not. And then we had to decide, what are we going to do? Do we have enough B footage that we can put in there? Okay, can we sit there and go back out? So we went back out and we did a lot more filming. And that's when I started to get really sick, where I couldn't do anything. So that's where we're at right now. So we've got what we need. We actually got another 2 really good witnesses that we're going to interview and get on film. So we're looking at April for it to come out. So, I mean, this thing was jinxed from the beginning. And the thing with Kickstarter, I have to say this so people understand. Kickstarter will not give us any contact information to any of the donors. It's like, well, how am I supposed to get the film to them? How am I supposed to get the perks to them if I have no contact information because of Privacy Act? And it's like, they're like, you have to go on social media and find them. I said, you know how many people have the same name on social media? So I have to I've been posting on the Kickstarter page what's been going on. Here's an email. Send me an email. Let me know so I can get your contact information. I mean, it's all you can do. It's all you can do. It's all you can do.
Joedy, I got to say, we got to bring you back soon because there's so many stories that we didn't get to go over tonight, but we will. Thank you so much, Joedy Cook from the North American Dogman Project, one of our good friends here. Coming up next, we're going to head to the swamp. Then Super Duke's here for the Cryptid Report. It's Dave 101 night, and then we got the news as well. Spaced Out Radio, Hour 3 next. Great job, buddy.
Thank you. I appreciate
Great
it. Like I
job.
said, I've not been, well, you know, the situation, and,
Yeah.
you know, I am
Yeah, I
so
hear you.
physically exhausted, you know.
Get some sleep. Why don't we bring you back in about a month or so?
That'll work. I can give you a better update on what's going on. You know.
Okay, you do that. Go get some
All
rest,
right.
buddy.
All right, brother. You have a good
You
one.
take care.
All right, take
Joedy
care.
Cook, everybody. Joedy Cook. A bit of drama going on in the North American Dogman project there. And so just didn't want to really talk about it tonight. But some members were doing some backstabbing from what I'm hearing, and wasn't good. I'm going to go and refill my cup because I'm out of water. And I will be right back, guys. So bear with me. All right. Here we go, everybody. Getting closer to Super Duke. Yeah, we're going to bring Joedy back on soon. He's got a lot more stories he's going to tell, so he's just full of them. Full of great stories. Oh. You guys having fun yet? You having fun? I know I am. I know I am. Who's coming to Vegas? May 19th through 21st at the Golden Nugget. I want to see you all there. I think we got about 40 or 50 tickets sold already, and you're going to be getting emails soon. And come watch Eric Markham with his badass beard hanging out with us. Here we go, everyone.
Would you like to connect with us? Head to spacedoutradio.com for all your latest show info. Now, back to Dave Scott and SOR.
Third and final hour of Spaced Out Radio is now underway. Thank you so much for joining us. We really do appreciate earning your listening ears wherever you are on this beautiful planet we call Earth. Hello to everyone listening in on our terrestrial affiliate around North America, digitally on Odyssey Radio, TalkStream Live, and KPNL. All of our archives are free. Join us at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do old Davey the favor. Hit that subscribe button. The Desert Clam has set the password for tonight in the SOR Space Travelers Club. Salzy. Salzy is your password. Use it wisely, Space Travelers, as the Clam sets a password each and every night right here on Spaced Out Radio. Our website is spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the Newswire, check out our swag as well. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on TikTok at Spaced Out Radio. It is time once again where we head to the swamp. Our resident swamp dweller takes us on another spooky journey.
Hi, Spaced Out Radio listeners. This is Swamp Dweller. It's time for your nightly dose of spookiness on the show. If you have an interesting encounter or a spooky story that you would like to share, be sure to submit them in at swampdweller.net. You can also find our YouTube channel at youtube.com/swampdwellerreads. Now, let's chill out, relax, and together, let's enter the swamp. Naturally, I am a scientifically minded person, and I like to think that I'm rational. And normally, I like to come from a place of skepticism, if I'm being honest. I'm trying to get some perspective on what happened and explore all avenues because I'm dumbfounded by this experience. My 2 children and I were visiting my parents for dinner, and they lived in the middle of the woods. It's my family home where I grew up. About halfway through the evening, the kids were watching TV inside, and my parents were busy talking in the other room, so I went out to my dad's detached shop to practice pool for a little while. I let them know where I was going before I did this. I'm an avid pool player, and he has a nice table, so I ran some drills for around 30 minutes. After I finished up, I walked out the door to go back into the house, and it was almost dark. Still, some light, but not much. I was halfway to the house when I heard a child's voice in the woods. I couldn't understand what it said, but it was clear as day, and it sounded like it was maybe 100 feet away from me or so. I stopped and looked into the direction it came from, trying to see if perhaps it was one of my kids, and maybe they had gotten outside without me knowing. Then I heard the voice again, which said my name, like it was calling to me. However, it didn't sound like any of my kids. So I yelled back and got no answer in return. I walked towards the woods just a little bit, expecting to see somebody come out, but I never saw a thing. I stood there for quite some time calling before I immediately went back inside to check on my kids to make sure none of them wandered off into the woods. When I go inside, they are still sitting at the same spot watching television. I asked my mom if they were outside, and she said they never went out. Now, from my perspective, my parents live in the middle of nowhere. There are no houses within a mile of them, and no one else has kids in this area. At least none that know me by name. I'm genuinely creeped out by this. Has anyone else ever experienced something similar? This story took place when I was a kid. My dad has been a pool man for many years. One of his oldest customers decided to purchase a ranch. I do not exactly remember where. He asked my dad if he could come fix their pool, which was disastrously maintained before he bought it. He gave my dad permission to bring us along and told us we were welcome to stay a few days to enjoy the ranch. We drove there, and I had overseen reading the MapQuest instructions because I never seemed to be able to sleep during car trips. We drove back a few days later after my dad was finally able to save the pool. The drive home was awfully long. For long stretches, the view was mostly desert, farms, and the occasional small suburban town. Unlike me, my mom and brothers knocked out almost immediately, so most of the trip was just me and my dad talking or listening to music. I am also a very avid reader, so I had my book on my lap besides the maps. I remember the ride had been quiet for a while, because I had been reading. I had to stop because it was getting dark, and my dad only let me turn the dome lights to read the maps. No radio service and the Game Boy batteries had all died. All I had left to do was look outside. Suddenly, I spotted a very tall shadow on a roof. I realized there was a man who seemed to be wearing a hat, a bowler hat, or maybe a top hat style, and dancing and jumping from roof to roof of the suburban lot. Kind of like that scene from Singing in the Rain, which at that point I had never seen. It took a second to realize that it was not a normal thing to see. The houses were situated in such a way where they were way too far away for people to jump roof to roof. What scared me the most is how at the last house before a field, he seemed to turn around and sense me. He bowed and tipped his hat. Even though I could not see it, I could sense it smiling. All I felt was dread in my stomach. I turned to face my dad to see if he saw it, but he had been paying attention to the road like he should have been. When I turned back, I could not see the houses anymore. They were too far behind us. I never saw a face or any details. He was just a silhouette on the roofs. I remember feeling very afraid that it would follow us, that it could if it wanted to. I never saw something like that in our many trips ever again. Sometimes, I wondered if I imagined it. It just felt so real. The memory is so vivid as well, which always keeps me coming back to this. I am watching old musicals because the dancing reminds me of the way he moved.
And that's why we love the Swamp Dweller around here, bringing us in to hour number 3 each and every night here, Monday through Friday, on Spaced Out Radio. So we thank him for it. And, of course, if you want more, you could go over to his YouTube channel. He's got thousands of stories just like that, waiting for you. All you got to do is hit subscribe. Yeah, that's it. That's it. Hit subscribe. And now we go from the swamp to the forest of Montana, where Super Duke from World Bigfoot Radio is hanging up in a deer shed looking for the elusive Sasquatch. Super Duke, the Cryptid Report with Super Duke. I'm not going to lie, I love that intro, buddy.
Big Sky, howdy, from the top of the Rocky Mountains in the high tower of my impregnable castle. Castle World Bigfoot Radio. Coming to all of you out there. How y'all doing?
We're great, man. We're great. Had a good night talking some Dogman with Joedy Cook. And now we got Super Duke here for everybody to...
Next time you have Joedy on, you got to ask him if he's got any reports from down under on Dingo Bloke. Their version
Yeah,
of Dogman.
Yeah. So many versions of that creature, man. So many versions. This is the abbreviated side to you tonight. What do you got for us?
Well, first of all, a reminder for everybody, because it wasn't a regularly scheduled show, I released a 5-minute short yesterday, which was a history of Sasquatch Part 1. So, of course, Part 1 goes back as far as there's a report, which is in the oldest language on Earth, Sanskrit. This report comes from significantly before Babylon, Mesopotamia, Syria, all that kind of stuff happened. And not only that, but it answers the question is, are Bigfoot the Nephilim? And do Bigfoot cooperate with the giants? And the answers are no and no. So check that 5-minute show out. It's great. Just my opinion. I like it. Anyway, also have somebody from your show coming up on my show this weekend, Dave. Lovely Danielle Diva is going to be my guest. And we're talking about something near, dear, and close to her heart, which is her great uncle, Count Dracula. And we're going to be telling the true story of Dracula, which is like way cooler than the fakey vampire story that Irish guy made up about him. So you guys don't want to miss this.
No, definitely not.
And
definitely not. Yes.
And,
there's more. But wait, there's more.
There's more. Well, yeah, I just wanted to briefly say, hey, I hope you had fun visiting with Robin night before last.
Oh, yeah.
It's hard to get her on to fill in because of the time difference. Because it is like literally 2:00 in the morning there when she comes on. So try to get her to, convinced to stay up that late. Hey, Robin, I got problems over here. Can you take this? And she's like, only for you.
Well, I'm glad Robin loves us in order to do that.
Oh, she must really love you guys. You couldn't talk her into being in that time slot on anybody else's show.
I know. We love her around here. She's amazing.
Well, I got a fun report from Montana here. As I recall, the guy's name is Craig Falcon, and he's a member of the local Blackfoot tribe. And I was watching this report on the Pikuni Bigfoot channel, which is some of the Blackfoot tribe do reports from inside the reservation and from their own members of the tribe. And they had him telling a story of when he was a little kid. And his parents were back in their bedroom on the far side of the house, and him and his 2 younger brothers were tearing around the living room raising hell, as he put it. And he said, we must have really been making a racket because we attracted some attention. And I didn't notice it, but one of my brothers pointed at the window and said, there's something up there. So, I'm the oldest brother. I'm the big tough guy. So I go running around the coffee table, jump up onto the cushion on the couch and bounce with that like I'm Superman. Fly up to the back of the couch, and I grab the drapes, the old-fashioned kind that pull from side to side, and I just grab one in each hand and I fling them open. And there's a face there on the other side of the window, and the face is the size of the whole window.
Oh my!
It's up in the bottom full of cats on his face.
What was that? You kind of broke up there.
I said, he said the only thing that didn't freak him out about it is that it had a big old grin on its face. So apparently he was attracted to the sound of him and his brothers raising hell, as he put it, in the living room, and was peeking through in between the tiny crack on the window drapes to see what they were doing. So now all of a sudden he's face to face, and he said, like, this thing's face literally filled the window. That's all he could see. It must have been leaning way down, and its face was right next to the window. So of course he had the reaction you would expect. Like Superman, which he was portraying a second or two before. He turns around, leaps down onto the cushion on the couch, uses that as a springboard, leaps entirely over the coffee table, and beats it as fast as he can into his parents' bedroom, even beating his brothers there, who saw the same thing, but didn't react quite as fast as him. And they all freaked out and told their mom and dad that they saw a big monster and stuff. And mom and dad apparently knew that Bigfoot was around the area, so they didn't bother to go look. They just said, okay, all you kids stay in here for the night.
Oh my! Oh my!
He had more
kids again.
More encounters subsequent to that, but he said that was, he didn't even think anything could be that big. Its face was the size of the whole window. Its eyes were like, the size of mayonnaise jars.
That is amazing.
I would not have wanted to see that. I had my encounter when I was 10 was bad enough, but it's like you have no security whatsoever after that. Hey, there's a giant sticking his face right up to the window. Oh my God. Better hope it's a friendly giant. That's all I could say.
Oh,
So
my.
anyway, we got some more military encounters. And these ones come from the Fort Lewis Army Base, Pierce County, Washington, and this one in 1989. Reporter says, we were on a field exercise with the 864th Engineer Battalion in November of 89. But all I can remember is that we were about a mile up from the Nisqually River. We marched out the day before and built a 3-rope bridge for the Rangers. It was the training area northwest of the old C-5 mock-up, or training aircraft. It was oddly clear and the moon was bright. A fellow soldier and I were sitting in a foxhole around 4 a.m. in the morning when my buddy suddenly exclaimed, "What the hell is that?" When I looked directly in front, about 25 yards, I witnessed something that scared me. It was a human form, but 7 to 8 feet tall, walking with a slight hunch about the shoulder and making low grunting noise. This thing was just unbelievable. There was a slight musky odor, but not too bad. It smelled kind of like a wet dog. Anyway, my friend and I told our story to the squad leader. He just laughed. He spoke to our first sergeant, and we were known as the 2 Bigfoot hunters. Well, after that, we didn't mention it anymore. But listen up, folks. There are things out there on that base, unimaginable. I always said I would have to see it to believe it. Well, I saw it. Reported Tuesday, July 3rd, 2007. And here's actually some unexpected follow-up to it. Regarding the above report, this letter came in. A follow-up email came in from a man living in Iowa who took over his parents' family farm there. His letter was brief. "Mrs. Short," he said to Bobby, "I read the message about the sighting at Fort Lewis in fall of 1989. I believe that I was that man's sergeant. I will verify his story as true, and I tell you additionally that Fort Lewis has a whole company of Bigfoot living on that base. Must be 70 or more scattered around that base, and that ain't no joke. A few get shot to death by scared E2s once in a great while, and mostly the sightings don't get reported. Those that do, nothing is said. I personally believe that base was constructed to protect that large contingency of Bigfeet because no effort was ever made to rid the base of them, and believe me, we could have annihilated all them Bigfeet if we'd been ordered to do that. No problem. Remember, we love the smell of napalm in the morning. Huh. The order never came down that I know about, but no effort was made to keep the grunts from shooting them either. I read the report on your website about the big feet don't die but become invisible, and that's bullpucky. I helped remove a dead one that was shot in 88. It was roughly 8 feet tall, male, the strangest stiff I ever saw. It was shot up pretty good, but I could see its features plainly. We loaded it on the back of a truck, covered it with canvas, and off it went, to where I don't know. We were ordered not to talk about it. The base there at Lewis is massive and strategically mapped in sections. Divided by roads, it has dense forest on the base and surrounding terrain with vegetation you can't crawl through. Ma'am, he says, it's a dense jungle in some parts of that base. There were in off-limits parts of the base where nobody was allowed. Most don't even know it existed. So I'm writing to support any questions that big feet are thick in Louis. Yes, sir. Signed Old Sarge, Alamaki County, Iowa, 2/12/09. And there's another report. Fort Lewis Army Base, May 1984, Pierce County, Washington. He says, I was a staff sergeant, E6 Sergeant Military Police at the time of my incident stationed at Fort Lewis, Washington. I had gone to investigate a reported disturbance within the tree line near the post stockade. This occurred in late spring, May 1984. It was approximately 0300 to 0400 hours. The bars closed shortly before the call. The MPDO heard strange cries from within the forest and wanted to check it out. I went in one direction while the K9 unit went in another. We were going to sweep the area. We planned to meet at an old railroad spur not far into the trees. I saw nothing nor heard a sound until the K9 unit apparently made contact with something. I heard 5 distinct pistol shots, at which point I heard a deep guttural growl, building into an extremely high-pitched howling. I've never heard anything like that. And the sound of something large crashing through the thick brush and foliage in the area. Important to note that I was too young, gung-ho, and stupid to be scared. I was armed with my issue 45 and 12-gauge riot gun and continued on to the rendezvous point, hearing nothing further. At the spur, which was sort of sunken with high berms, I went up the far side and halted at the edge of a large meadow. The captain was already there at the rendezvous point, having not seen anything either. Neither of us knew that the KO had fled the forest on the trail of the dog. We were about to head back when I caught movement in the adjacent tree line to the left. I could plainly see a large dark shape walking along the southeast edge of the meadow, but still within the tree line. He says Mount Rainier was southeast of my location, and this was the direction of movement. It appeared to be a bear. I held my weapon at the ready. When the subject turned and came out into the meadow, it was approximately 35 yards from our position, moving from left to right. It did not register at first. I nearly pulled the trigger, but something just didn't look right. Bears walk on all fours. This bear was walking on two legs. It was getting on towards morning. False dawn was in evidence. I could see well enough, but not clearly enough to make out facial features. All I can figure is the wind must have shifted, for the creature stopped and turned its head and looked directly at me. It turned its whole body and just stood there looking at us, arms by its sides. The creature was not threatening us at all, so I lowered my weapon and did not open fire. I remember the head moving slightly from side to side. It did not move closer, and neither did we. We stared at each other for less than 2 to 3 minutes. Ultimately, it resumed its original direction and just walked away, looking back once, but kept going, disappearing into the opposite tree line. The Bigfoot was covered with short, dark hair, massive arms and shoulders, probably 7.5 to 8 feet tall. The neck was not evident. The head was bullet-shaped, though due to poor light conditions, I could not see facial features clearly, but I can say it definitely was not Elvis or the Pillsbury Doughboy. I estimate the weight at close to 500 pounds. The tracks we found later were cast with plaster of Paris. The photo shows my size double E foot for size comparison. The Rangers used to have problems with something nasty around the Nisqually River over in Rangers Rainier training area. And it shows the picture, and I'm guesstimating roughly 16, 17-inch track cast there, judging by the size of his foot. He says, my son likes WWF wrestling, and I met Andre the Giant and shook his hand. If he's really 7'4", then this creature was taller than that. I'm 6'5" and recall the size difference between Andre the Giant and me. At the time of the sighting, we were neither drunk, crazy, or on drugs. And it wasn't a man in a suit either, not on a military base. I'll tell you now, no official report was ever made. I valued my Army career more than a few moments of limelight. And as I said, I saw an ape-like creature. I never said I saw a Bigfoot. I'm 43 now, retired military, except for the plaster cast. I can't prove any of this. All I can tell you is I know what I saw. It no longer matters who believes me.
I love it. I love it. You know, there is so much around that Fort Lewis base. I once heard a rumor, Duke, and I'm not sure if you have as well, but I once heard a rumor that there is a base out there, or a special building on that base, that actually houses a number of different cryptids in there. Now, I don't know if that's true or not. I'm just saying the rumor that I heard.
Yeah, I haven't heard which one that is, but it wouldn't actually. I would think there's probably more than one. Kat Hansen talked about them trailing a Dogman for several days. Her and a couple Indian trackers that were just amazing, and they used every trick in the book trying to get away from them. And they finally tracked it to a military base, where they watched it run up to the base and jump over the 12-foot fence into the base and run in. And the perimeter guards didn't do anything to stop it.
Nope. Super Duke, tell everybody where they can find World Bigfoot Radio.
World Bigfoot Radio is on all the finer video platforms that you can find, including BitChute, Rumble, Odyssey, Bright Eon, and YouTube too. You can find my support group over on Facebook if you're still over there. I have two of them actually. Montana Bigfoot Project covers all the field research, and World Bigfoot TV tells you when my show's on. So come on, check it out. Subscribe.
World Bigfoot Radio, Super Duke, Sullivan. He'll be back next week. Coming up next, it's Dave 101 night. Watch out for your phones, people. The apps are coming. Super Duke. Super Duke. Oh, look at that. Look at that.
Super Dave, he's got to go see his buddy, the Bigfoot, out there in the woods because he wants
know.
more munchies. I don't know if you saw what I said in the chat room while you were talking about that. I just started laughing and I went, yeah, 99% of their attention is always focused on, hey, is there food involved in this? Can I get food out of this somehow? Hey, you got any more of that food? Bring that food. That's really good. There's never enough food. You could back up an 18-wheeler, dump it all out, and 2 days later they'd be calling Robin going, Robin, can you tell Dave to bring some more out here?
Oh, man. Yep. I'm going to go barbecue some steaks out there. Could you imagine?
Oh, yeah.
Wait till that smell gets into the trees.
Yeah, we made the mistake of cooking bacon there too many times, and then they wanted to try bacon, and now every time we come out there, they want bacon. Bacon's expensive. I'm not bringing out any weird, expensive food anymore that they can potentially smell or try and eat and then want me to bring more of it. No.
Right?
Yeah, if it was 20 years ago and bacon was cheap, fine, But it's not like you're ever going to give them enough. It's just a tease no matter, It's like giving somebody 1 mint. Ooh, yum, 1 mint.
1 mint. That's all you get.
Thanks.
And
they're having the Pringles potato chip reaction going, come on, give me a handful. And you're like, I don't have a handful.
Right?
I'm just tiny. I don't eat truckloads of food like
just
you guys
tiny.
do. I'm only 6 feet tall. We're just little. I'm tiny. I don't even have fur all over me. Leave me alone. Quit demanding peanut butter and bacon.
Yeah, I hear you.
Well, fortunately, I have an excuse. No vehicles can get up to my research area until all the snow thaws. So I don't have to go up there during the winter. Yay.
The only way you can get to mine right now is via snowmobile.
Yeah, it's the same thing with mine. You'd have to literally take a snowmobile in. They've actually got the roads closed off between October and May, and until the snow melts over the pass so you can actually drive over it, because they're not going to plow it. Once it melts, then, okay, yeah, they open the gates so you can use the pass again. Seasonal roads.
You're in one of them gated communities.
Yeah, they gate off the mountains in the winter so the crazy locals don't try and drive over them with their four-wheel drivey things and fly off the 500-foot cliff, never to be seen again.
Oh, my.
Because they'll try it. Yeah. That's why they close those things off, because the locals will try.
That's why it's called America right there.
America.
You know they're gonna try because America says so.
Well, they go around the gates with the snowmobiles and stuff too. All those roads that are closed to traffic during the winter, they're snowmobile trails during the winter. Everybody's got a snowmobiles using them. So, hey, I got to go over to Hamilton. It's only about a 40-mile drive. I'm taking the sled. See you guys later tonight.
Isn't that the truth?
Literally,
Isn't that the truth?
They're literally doing that. Well, the other, if they want to go from the one town to the other option is to drive completely around the mountain range, which is about 150 miles. So they'd rather do the 40 miles over the mountains with the snowmobile. It's faster.
Yeah, no kidding. No kidding.
Anyway, I'm going to get going here because I want to get on the other computer in time to see Dave ranting, going, get off my line, you...
Get off my lawn, you sons of bitches.
Yeah. You damn probe happy saucer jackies.
I wish I could remember that one. I do.
I'll remember to record a soundbite at some point when I have to record something again, hopefully.
I would appreciate that.
I'll send it to you.
I would totally appreciate that.
Okay, guys, off to the other studio. Love everybody. Have a good night. Don't hug any Wookiees.
That's Super Duke right there.
Right.
Super Duke. Super Duke.
Don't hug the Wookiees. They'll make you puke.
Mm-hmm. All right. There goes Super Duke. Derek Galloway has returned. That's right, Grandizer. I've got a lot of problems with you people, and now you're going to hear about it. Charge. Thank you, Louis ×3, Brian, Catherine, Social, Cryptid, and Cat for the super chats. Very much appreciated. Thank you for the love. Thank you for the love. Here we go, everyone. We rounded third. We're heading for home tonight on Spaced Out Radio. Good to have you with us. My name is Dave Scott. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us. We very much appreciate it. I want to remind you that if you've missed most of this show or others, check out our free archives by going to youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do old Davey the favor. Hit that subscribe button. Our website is spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot. Read the news wire. Check out our swag as well. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on TikTok at Spaced Out Radio. It is time once again where I yell, "Get off my lawn!" It's Dave 101.
It's time for Dave 101.
So the big thing that is coming down the pipe in the UFO world is everybody and their dog is going to be creating a UFO app. Some of these apps you'll pay for. Some of them will be free. All of them will guarantee you can put in your sighting, your video, and your information right then and there in real time. And your report will be added to a database of hundreds of thousands, if not millions upon millions of reports from people just like you around the world. Yes, the day and age of infiltrating our iPhones, our Google phones, our Samsungs is here. But I'm going to put out a warning for all of you. Do not download these. I don't care if they're from MUFON. I don't care if they're from Google. I don't care if they're from Enigma Labs. I don't care where they are from. Because remember, the information has to go somewhere. Someone is going to get their hands on your IP address. They're going to get their hands on your phone number. They're going to get the hands on your email, where you live, maybe your address, passwords that you install, because let's face it, if you're like the majority of us, you use the same password probably for at least 9 to 15 different things that you have to log into each and every day. That's what we do. We're a comfort creature that way, and there are those out there who may want to take advantage of it. No, I am not a fan of the apps that they say are going to benefit you in tracking and learning about what kind of different UFOs are out there. Here's a post that I would say to you. Put it on your Facebook. Put it on your Instagram. If you get that photo, put it on there. You're already on there. They already have your stuff. Why give it to someone else? There are those out there who will say, well, what's the difference? Everything is tracked. Everything is known. They know by my phone number where I am at any time. The government will know my email. They'll know when I am sitting there harassing the president or the prime minister on social media. They know it all. And maybe they do, maybe they don't. Because none of us really do read the fine print on anything. I think it's only about 3 to 5% of the population that actually does. But here's the thing. There is a major race going on right now in the UFO world, and that is for information. Information from people like you. Why do they want your information? Because they want your reports, and they want more than your reports. They want to know who you are, what kind of people are having sightings. Who's having the sightings? Where are the sightings happening? Are they happening in clusters? Are you seeing the same thing other people are using as well? This is why I don't feel comfortable with this right now. Right now, we know there are about 5 different apps that are going to roll out here within a year. We know the really strange and secretive Enigma Labs is about to roll out an app. MUFON has decided they are going to roll out an app. There are many as 3 that I know of, private groups who have not been named yet, that are ready to roll out an app. Some of them are even in beta testing right now. The reason why I am concerned about this is because when you see the new race towards ufology and uapology, see what I did there? Uapology? I often wonder, what is the hurry? Why all of a sudden do they need all of this stuff? Well, it's simple. Data equals money. It equals money from the government. It equals money from private agencies. And if you're willing to give it, they are willing to take it. So let me tell you about this. And this is what scares me about it. We know the ownership of Enigma Labs is being funded by billionaire Peter Thiel, who is the man behind Planet Palantir, a government contracting company. We know that he helped start a little company called PayPal with his buddy Elon Musk. We know that he was one of the first investors into Facebook, and then this guy's worth between $5 and $10 billion. What does he want with UFOs? What does he want with all that information? Enigma claims they are not affiliated with anybody, even though they're a private company. Yet the parent of that company, the financier of that company, has government contracts, including defense contracts, up the yin-yang with his other companies. Let's go to MUFON. We know MUFON has been begging and pleading to be in the UFO conversation, well, especially the last 5 years, 6 years since the New York Times article came out in 2017. We know Dave McDonald, the ever-dressed styling and profiling leader of MUFON, has wanted and made it his mantra to get MUFON involved in the government game. And from all points that I'm hearing of, he is being very successful, which means if he is successful and he is going to say, to hell with our rest of our board of directors and what they say, to hell with our investigators, to hell with our state directors, this is what we're doing, and we're getting into the game on a civilian level, that means that MUFON stats will likely be turned over to the U.S. government as well. Now, people even in MUFON will say, well, aren't we doing that already? Haven't we done that in the past? Aren't there government agents in there? Yeah. Jan Harzan, the former president and executive director, tried to get Tom DeLonge involved when he was really hot to trot with the To the Stars Academy. They tried in 2007 and successfully did for a bit get billionaire Robert Bigelow involved with his Bigelow Advanced Aerospace Space Systems Company, BASS, out of Las Vegas. This is where it all seems to go, and that is everything funnels through to the government. So my question is, who can you trust? We tell our children all the time, I want to see what you're downloading onto your iPad or onto your tablet. Or if you're like me, where your kid has broken his tablet, so you give him an old iPhone and you let him play his games on there. You watch what your children do, but are you watching what information you are allowing on your cell phones or on your tablets? Because right now I can say this, and this is my warning to all of our Spaced Out Radio listeners out there. I cannot say with 100% conviction that there is an app out there regarding UFOs that I trust or would trust for right now. Now, I am hearing there are some independent companies who are trying to track this for the sake of actual research that is independent from any government contract. We'll see how those play out. What I'm saying to you is, hold on to your information. Your personal information is important. It doesn't matter whether the government already has it. Look, they have your social security number. They have your phone number. They have your email, your IP addresses. They know where you work. They know how many taxes you pay each and every year. They know more about you than you do yourself. But that still doesn't give them permission to know what's in your head. What have you seen? What have you experienced? And this goes beyond just seeing a couple of dots flying in weird patterns in the sky. No. This goes beyond that. This goes beyond to the experiencer, to those who have had ET contact or close encounters of the third kind or more. I don't want them having my stories with my information. Do you? Would you feel comfortable with your government knowing that you're an ET contactee or had close encounters? Nobody should feel comfortable with that. All right? Whether they are deliberately listening on our phones, whether they can already hack into secured lines like Signal, they've already done it. We know that it's there. We're just hoping that they're not paying attention. And that we don't say any trigger words like Joe Biden is ugly, or Donald Trump has bad hair, or Justin Trudeau, besides his sock collection, is not a very nice man. We get to hear it all. They will hear it all. But for your protection, don't download or support any of these apps that will be coming out here very, very soon. It's not worth it. It's not worth your privacy, and it's definitely not worth your private information. If you feel that you need to get your story out, you can always contact us at info@spacedoutradio.com, and we can point you in the proper direction, like Peter Davenport's New Fork out of Washington State. Completely independent, completely free. We need to protect each other. We need to make sure that our community is safe from the zealots who are trying to steal the information so they can get a handle on making a ton of money on whatever is going to happen in space or coming to Earth. It is about business. It is about information. Don't kid yourself. And when you get a company like the Enigma Labs, who seems to be hiding everything behind the scenes, to the point where we don't even know who's working for them or who you're talking to, they may have you set up with a government official from the CIA, the NSA, or whomever alphabet agency they belong to. And in the meantime, you're giving them prime information about who you are, what you're seeing, and then you get excited. You tell them a little bit more. This is like the fourth time in 5 days. And next thing you know, they're watching you. Be paranoid about it. I am. Hold on to your information. Keep your stories to yourself. If you've never reported anything, Don't start now. It's not worth it. It's not worth it. That's why we do this show. You guys all trust us, listening to us, and we're going to give you the proper information that's going to get out there. And right now, I cannot say that there is an app out there regarding UFOs that I would trust on my phone. And I hope you believe that. And I hope you use that to your advantage. That is your Dave 101 for tonight. Do me a favor. Down below, if you're on YouTube, make sure you leave a comment after the show. And let me know what you think. Would you trust a UFO app? Are you going to get curious and try it on out? Are you going to get out there and say, hey, any little bit of information helps bring this subject to disclosure, even though there is no such thing as disclosure? It's all up to you. You're the one who gets to make the choice. And that is your Day 101, and here's the news.
What time is it?
It's time for Shirky Poo's news!
Oh, we got some beauties for you tonight. A priest has claimed, and you know what? Oh, I've had this happen. A priest has claimed he was tortured by demons singing a Rihanna song in hell. Pastor Gerald Johnson from Michigan suffered a heart attack 7 years ago, and he's convinced he briefly descended into hell, where he got a glimpse of the fiery torment awaiting him, which involved horrifying renditions of the pop star's hit track Umbrella and Don't Worry, Be Happy by Bobby McFerrin. Speaking in the video posted on TikTok, oh, we got to get this guy on the show. Yeah, he explained, my spirit left my physical body. I thought I was going upward because I thought that I had done so much good in this lifetime and had helped so many people and made so many decisions that were godly decisions. But as opposed to me going up, I went down. I went literally into the center of the earth. That's where hell is, and it just blew me away. It still baffles me to this day. Johnson added, of the demonic music section, there was a section in hell where music was playing. It was the same music we hear on earth, but opposed to entertainers singing it, demons were singing it. While up here, you can listen to music to get over a breakup, like Don't Worry, Be Happy or Umbrella. But down there, every lyric to every song is to torment you. Johnson was resuscitated and says that when he traveled back up to earth from the depths of hell, and he says the vision means there must be a link between demons and pop music. He added, on earth, a lot of lyrics and music are inspired by demons. People coming into contact with demons who give them lyrics for the purpose of controlling people here on earth. Well, get your horns up for the guitar god, Mr. Ron Bubblefoot Thal himself. Little Brother is Watching is our demonic song. Could you imagine, though, honestly, okay, those two songs I could see being tortured by. I totally could. But could you imagine having or dying and going to hell during Christmas time where all you hear is Mariah Carey? That could happen, people. According to the pastor here, that could happen. By God, if it's country music, Coldplay, and Mariah Carey for me, I'm a dead man in hell if that's where I'm going. Oh, that just freaks me out. I need a good prayer now. All right. Miami-Dade police were greeted by a headless snake when they responded to a domestic dispute. Yep, the officers arrived in an apartment complex after reports of a couple arguing and heard a fight going on between a man and woman inside one of them. When multiple commands to open the door were ignored, police kicked it in, where they heard a woman scream and a man hid behind the door as they entered. Police attempted to arrest the man, but they allege he resisted and hit the officer in the face with an arm that was handcuffed, and he was eventually put in leg restraints. The woman told the officers the man had bitten off the head of her pet ball python and police found the reptile and its detached head next to a door. Kevin Mayorga was arrested and initially charged with domestic violence, resisting an officer, false imprisonment, and animal cruelty. Who bites the head off a snake? Is this guy all voodoo or what? I'm not the one who's so far away. When I feel the snake bite enter my veins. Come on, Godsmack right there. Great song. Yeah, now I'm going to have to listen to that after the show. St. Louis reporter who understandably doesn't think much of February has gone viral. Kevin Killeen of KMOX told viewers he thought February was the worst month of the year back in 2016. February is the worst month of the year, but it's an honest month. It's a month that doesn't hold up life any better than it really is, Killeen begins the piece. Standing at the top of a parking garage, he looks out at a bunch of dark industrial office buildings and says, something great happened here, but it's over with, and that's the way February is. Heading to the top of the garage, Killeen finds a broken green umbrella with a floral pink pattern stuffed inside a trash can. He warns that the expedition through February has become dire. Somebody had abandoned the umbrella like a desperate flinging of something that isn't true anymore. Yes, February sucks. It really does. And finally tonight, I don't know where to take this one. I'm going to leave this one up to you guys. A former Tennessee police officer has been fired for having sex with several coworkers and admitted she was on the verge of a divorce, which caused her to crack. Megan Hall, just 26 years old, who previously worked at the Lavernia Police Department in Lavernia, Tennessee, spilled out the beans about multiple sex romps she had with other officers and why things were spiraling out of control. Me and my husband were on kind of the verge of a divorce, and I just cracked, and then it just kind of got out of hand, she said to Human Resources. I got stupid, I got desperate, I guess, and guys are guys, and they'll stick their wieners in anything. I added wieners. Hall's remarks were about her affairs with fellow former officers like Sergeant Lewis Powell, with whom she had sex a lot with. His wife just doesn't want him to have sex with him, and that's the reason why. Yeah. Well, she's fired, don't have a job, and there's a big investigation going on right now. No word what her husband thinks as of yet. We got Mr. Ron Bumblefoot Thaw rocking in the background with Little Brother is Watching. Bumblefoot is the official music of Spaced Out Radio, rocking us in and out of every single show. Get your horns up for the guitar god himself. Special thanks to everybody listening in at home, at work, in your cars, wherever you may be. Thank you to everyone in our chat rooms tonight. YouTube, Twitch, LGAP, LinkedIn, Facebook, Spreaker, the Space Travelers Club, and on Twitter at hashtag Spaced Out Radio.
I know you're out there somewhere.
Remember, this show is copyrighted by Spaced Out Radio and SOR Media Ventures Limited. Thank you so much for choosing to share your evening with us, because together, my friends,
we're watching.
we own the night. Mr. Bumblefoot, we need a favor. We need you to take us home.
I know you're out there somewhere watching me.
Yes, the Woo Train has docked for the night. But soon, my friends, we shall ride again. Your seats are always available. Your tickets never expire. And if you want to bring a friend, bring them on down, because we got room for them too. Good night. That's good stuff. That was good stuff right there. Good night overall. Big Logic, how you doing? Welcome to the chat room. Random Guy, how you doing, bud? How's Random Guy? Random Guy likes to eat late night pizza pie. Were you out with NSA Guy? Sharing pizza with NSA guy. Sarah Yawn, how are you? Random guy likes to party. Nighthawk, high strangeness. Come on. You're killing me right now. You're killing me. Don't go breaking my heart. Don't go breaking his heart. I don't know the lyrics, but woohoo! Nobody knows it. Anyways, just killing me. You know what was awesome is right before the show, I was getting ready, and I flip on YouTube. And you know how you got your main screen on YouTube, you know, what they want you to watch? 2014 Guns N' Roses, Hard Rock Hotel in Vegas. Here's Mr. Ron Bumblefoot Thal right in front stage getting his double axe ready for a little You Could Be Mine. Oh, it was heaven. That was that 2014 tour. God, it's coming up 10 years ago. That's where I saw 3 shows in 6 nights. And I missed the Paradise City whistle because of the idiot who jumped in front of me. Random guy, you've never been cool. Random guy's jealous because his best friend, who I know, Army guy is he's got the perfect hair. He's one of them good-looking people. There's people like me and Random Guy, we got to fight for it. Hello, Skip to Maloo, my darling. Army guy is pretty. Army guy is pretty. I will guarantee you that Army guy goes through at least 2 to 3 buckets of Brill cream on his hair each and every month. Each and every month. Okay, where is this here? Where's my ending? Should be right about there. Hold on. No. Yeah, I mean, it's crazy. That ain't it. Project and Joedy Cook when we returned for hour number 2. It's okay to get something to drink. Yeah, it is, Jody. We're going to leave that in there. Angela Baby Carson says, good evening. Oh, good. Look at her. Good evening. Dave, what size is your skull cap? This is a size 8. This is size 8. Nighthawk, are you in Vegas too? Call sign for the F-117 stealth fighter and the Canadian Armed Forces 409 Nighthawk Squadron of CF-18 Hornets. Huh? Oh, stop it. X, you jerk. I thought you guys were done. No, we're here for about another half an hour, Susan B. She's like, I thought you were done. I wanted to move on to another show, damn it. Tell you what my products are for my hair. I use Dippity Doo. Dippity Doo. It's cheap and effective, and the shit works good. Hold on. What do you mean, Amy? Wild Amy WC. What do you mean? I don't know if I can go to Vegas now. Thought would be about 5 people. What does that mean? There's going to be more than 5 people there. Jessica Jones will be going. Dave, place a bet for me. I'll send $50. Okay, Malou. I could do that. I do that for you. I'll give it to Random Guy because he's a better gambler than I am. That's where it is. Is it right here? Right there. Thanks, Jamie Johnson. Come by more often. Lily Pond. Just remember that the number to bet is 18 black on the wheel. One thing I know about roulette is if I'm betting black, it's going red. And if I'm betting red, it's going black. One thing I've noticed about my gambling, even like on the football games last week, I put on Facebook, I said, I believe it's going to be the Buffalo and San Francisco in the Super Bowl, and both teams lost. Super Simon, with a super chat from Australia. Super Simon. Thanks, buddy. Appreciate you. It's called a toque, Angela. Not a beanie. It's Canadian. It's a toque. One, two, three, four, five, six. I'll be right back. Let me get you some animals here. Let's go with the giraffes again. This old Daniel is paying off big time right now. So we're going to head there. Present. Share screen. There you go. I'll be right back. What up, my peasants? Get rid of this garbage crap on here. It is I, Elovni Volador. And I came back after I heard a horrible, horrible video of some weakling out there who called me out. So I have a message for the Navajo warrior out there who says he's coming to Las Vegas to go into a 15-foot steel cage with leather straps and that he is going to beat the living snot out of me. Do you know who I am? Do you know who I am, Navajo warrior? I'm looking at you. I'm looking at you. You may bench press 600 pounds. You may deadlift almost 1,000 pounds, but you got nothing on the styling and profiling of Elovni Volador. I got speed. I got finesse. And I got the ladies among me who are going to carry me to victory. Do you think a steel cage actually scares me? Do you really think that putting a leather strap on my wrist so I can whip your ass is going to scare me? No. I'm faster. I'm leaner. I'm meaner. And when I pick you up and body slam you and then drop an elbow right on your solar plexus, flip you over, and give you the patented camel clutch until you pass out, you're never going to know what hit you. I don't care if it's in the steel cage. I don't care if it's in the middle of the Golden Nugget. I don't care if it's right when we're filming the YouTube live in Vegas. I don't care if it's on Fremont Street or even if we are tethered up going along the zip lines. I'm here in Vegas to kick your ass. There's nothing wrong with it. I don't care about the people. You could have 100 of them jump in to help you because you're probably going to need it. But you don't want none of this. You can't handle all of this, there, Navajo warrior. And if your wife, Crazy Hot Michelle, gets involved, I'm going to send her to Suplex City right along with you. Never mess with Elovni Volador. You can't handle it. There's no way you can compete with this. And when I hook your leg for a 3 count or make you tap out, you will bow to my presence. You will make sure that you never try to look me in the eyes again, because you're not going to handle the beating and the suffering that you are going to feel in Las Vegas, May 19th through 21st at the Golden Nugget. You want to fight in the Shark Tank? I'll fight you in the Shark Tank. You want to do it in the swimming pool? Let's go. You want to go to some strip club and climb the brass poles and do it right there? We can do it there. It doesn't matter. We'll go to Area 51. We'll go take on the camo dudes, and after we kick their asses, I'll kick yours right across the desert. You can't handle this there, big guy. You don't want none of this, Navajo warrior. You literally have just signed your own death warrant. And it happens in Vegas, May 19th through 21st. I don't care what day. You just make sure you show up. And all the spaced out radio people who think that you're going to destroy me, that you're going to take me down, well, guess what? After I'm done with you, I'll sweep you off the mat, and then I'll bring them all in, and I'll take them all on at once in a full-on battle royal. You don't want none of this there, big guy. You don't want none of this, Navajo warrior. Believe you me, this is the worst potential thing you could have ever done in your wrestling career, was challenge Elovni Volador. silly son of a bitch. Who does that? Who does that? Now I'm mad. What do you peasants want? What are you looking at? Some people's children just don't learn. See that shirt? That's a winning shirt right there. A winning shirt. And why you people don't have the greatest lucha libre in ufology and aren't wearing my shirt every day, I don't know. What is wrong with you people? I don't know. It's a sick injustice. Navajo warrior. Some people just don't get it. You don't want to mess with the big guy. You don't want to mess with him. Thank you, Love V Love. You got some class there, Love V Love. I'll let you walk me down to the ring. That's right. Super Duke, you got it right. That's right. Mm-hmm. You don't want any of this. See, Super Duke knows where it is. Super Duke understands. He knows what's going on in this world. He doesn't mess around with the herbicide prices. He doesn't mess around with chickens laying eggs because he knows what's real. He's got it. I am the doomsday weapon. El Ovni Volador. Who's Dave? A few of you keep mentioning that weirdo. The chunky Canadian. Oh, I'll have more to say about the Navajo warrior. Oh, yeah. He's not out of trouble yet. Race fan, you're still wearing your panties your grandmother autographed for you. Simon, I hope you get bitten by a thylacine. Guy wants to make fun of me, challenge me to a cage match. Thank you, Eric Markham. You're a man of class and honor. Unlike that Navajo warrior. What's this? Dave always talks trash about you, Ovni? That son of a bitch. That son of a bitch. Next time I see him, I'm going to shove his head in a urinal and then flush. D. Swagger, you're the kind of lady who goes to a concert and forgets to bring extra shoes after you spill your wine on your white runners. Red wine, white runners. D. Swagger is the kind of lady that she leaves before the encore at a concert. Thank you, Super Duke. And Markham. Classy people right there. Classy people. Maggie, El Ovni has boobs. So do you. In fact, you're now Maggie Moobs. Don't know about Bumblefoot. Maggie Boobs. Oh, Jessica. Jessica's the kind of girl who wears too much makeup. Yeah, that's a little more than just a little eyeliner, Jessica. Who would Dave pick as a tag team partner? I don't know, because that chunky monkey, he's out there somewhere. I don't deal with his questions. Hey, Simon, I hear you're surrounded by a nice ocean. Go for a swim. That's right. Look at Super Duke. El Omni gargles with Drano every morning to create his fearful vocal tones and has himself sandblasted rather than bothering to bathe with water like mere mortals. That's right. That's right. Wild Amy C., you put them stilettos on and you can walk me down to the ring as well. I got Love v. Love on one arm, you on the other. Brown Dwarf, your last date ended like the one previous. You sitting at a table alone, eating pancakes at a Denny's. Simon, you're the kind of guy who leaves one square of toilet paper left on the toilet roll for the rest of the family to suffer through. You're that guy. One square guy. That's right, D. Swagger. I do. I do draw mustaches on pictures of Mother Teresa. I'm the type of guy who goes into a magazine store with a Sharpie pen and I draw a bunch of penises like a grade 8 student in every magazine I can. Area 51, that's a good man right there. I did count to infinity twice. That's right. You know what, Raz? I would do that. As long as it ends up in victory, I will do anything to win. Anything. That's right, Markham. Good man. Good man. Simon, you pee sitting down. You're that guy. You're that guy. You pee sitting down, and somehow you still live dribble on the seat after. Navajo warrior. What a joke. I can't wait to suplex that prick. Simon's the kind of guy who buys a box of Oreo cookies, takes the white stuff in the middle, eats it, then puts the cookies back together and back in the cupboard. You never trust a guy like that, ladies. On that note, I'm sick and tired of being in here in front of you and impressing all of you with my physical specimenness. I'm going home. You guys can catch Dave tomorrow night. R. Keith Andrews. That idiot would probably want me to thank everybody who gave him money. Louie with 3 of them. Shoso Diggs, Brian, Catherine, Cryptid Guy, Cat Chaser, and I can't read Dave's chicken scratch here. Simon. I'm out. You people will be blessed when you see me in Las Vegas. Bow to me, Navajo warrior, because you're going down for the 3 count.
Stay healthy, my friend.
You too.
You need bail money, give me a call.
Always, Dad. Take care.
You too.